Alright, this will be the Daisy Underground community meeting held on the 30th of June 2024. Obviously, I'm deafened right now, but I'll be undeafening shortly. I've already tested all of the audio shit. I'm using OBS now, in case anyone cares. I don't know. Because my NVIDIA was being a bitch a couple days ago when I was trying to do stuff. So let's just do OBS. Anyway, I think we're gonna be undeafening.
Sound resumed.
All right, we've got to hear, yeah, Fox.
What?
Exactly. Never let them know your next move.
I mean, we can start a meeting, but we still, if we don't have like the people here that want to present their topics, then we're not really gonna get anywhere.
It's fine, just let James start, he's ready.
No, please, I'm not ready.
No, we have to wait for the influx of user has joined your channel.
Oh, I've already muted my sound pack. I recommend you all do the same. Otherwise, it's gonna get maddening. You know, if we ever do
User
like an
joined your
8,
channel.
that's fucking what?
Hello?
Oh, for fuck's sake! There we go.
Did you
Sounds
forget to save?
deactivated.
I think you forgot to save.
It sounds deactivated now.
You sure?
Yes. I literally clicked on it and deactivated it earlier, but it didn't go through, I guess. Anyway, we'll give some people a little bit more time to filter in. First topic comes from Blaze, but if Blaze doesn't end up being here, then we can pick up with someone else's topic and jump back to it. If there's
The
been
football
discussion.
game is over, yeah?
The what?
The football game?
No idea.
England!
Yeah, it's finished.
England!
We're gonna win. It's coming home. Coming home. Can't change my mind.
You're going home.
Nope. It's a bit rocky.
The
at the beginning.
inevitable has just been postponed another game.
Nope. That's not the way to think about it.
Come
That's the
on,
way I'm- that's the way I'm
England!
thinking
Score
about
some
it.
fucking goals! Well, the moment is upon us, but I'll leave it another couple of minutes as I usually do, just because there's always the fucking stragglers. Ugh.
Remember when it used to be Harvey was the late one?
I'd be surprised if Harvey even attends this. So I guess he still technically is late. Late in the sense that he's probably not coming. Salutations, Matt. Welcome, little moderator person.
The little is unnecessary, but I'll take it.
Little blue cupcake.
I like that better.
Perhaps it would sound better if I said it in the Becky voice.
I want to try something.
Oh no.
Oh
Please
boy.
don't.
Damn it.
Did you try to like move him or something because you have channel admin?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, not today, Alice.
I mean, he's like higher than us on the list, even though his name is not alphabetically superior to ours, so I guess that means he has a higher form of power.
Too much power.
We cannot incite a revolution, sadly. Right. I make 2 minutes past 11, so I guess the wait is over. First topic comes from Blaze, but seeing as I don't think Blaze is here, we can just kick off with a topic of someone that actually is here. Which I am looking at the community meetings channel. I'm not. I think the first person that I can see in here is Biscuits / Benjamin Smits. So I guess if we want to take off with that topic, then we can. Unless anyone else that's above him in the pecking order wants to make themselves known. I'll take that as a no. So assuming Biscuits is here, then I leave the floor to him. If he's not here, then fuck. I guess we'll have to figure out someone else's topic. Oh boy. Oh. He's still muted. God damn it.
Someone poke him.
Everyone poke him at once. Right now.
He'll be back in a minute. He'll be back in a minute.
Ah, okay. Like what happened with, was it Shifty, I think? That got poked like 30 times.
Yep.
Right, well we have... Obviously there's some people that will most likely not be attending the meeting, so we can just tackle their topics as we come to them. Who added me? Oh, okay. We do have quite a healthy selection of topics to get through. Either way, so hopefully we can rattle through them smoothly, though with a great many people being AFK. We shall see how that goes. Though I figure we might as well run through the topics of people that are actually here first. So that, I don't know, if they've got somewhere to be, then they can just like present their topic and then fuck off, essentially. Though we can try and rattle through these. For anyone that's didn't see, I guess, I'm going to be kind of going along, and once we're done discussing a topic, I'll mark it with a green check mark. Just so that, I don't know, anyone that jumps in late can try and gauge where exactly we are and what's already been discussed. I decided to switch to using OBS to record these as well, because NVIDIA was being a dickhead as well, so I imagine all will go smoothly. So I'm not too familiar with OBS Studio. Streamlabs I know a decent bit about, but not so much about Studio. Oh.
Sean just said, you waiting for me?
Yes, we're going to start with your topic, because no one else above you on the pecking order is here, it seems. So if you'd like to present it, then take it away. Oh yeah, good. Okay. Thanks for also recording, Matt. Once again, one final thing before we start, I guess. Of course, if someone is speaking, if someone is presenting their topic, and you would like to chime in, throw a Q in chat, like so, and I will hopefully be able to see it and make sure the queue list gets followed. But if I, like, jump ahead of someone on the queue, just let me know, because I might miss the occasional one. But anyway, take it away, Biscuits.
Yeah, so what I've wrote in the community meeting channel is it's pretty self-explanatory to what I want to say, really. So I'm basically, to summarize, like the quality over the radio is is very lackluster most of the time, in my opinion. There's a lot of like almost out of character chats on there. A lot of like swearing and insults at each other and things like that. So sometimes, people to like doing it to people that they don't even know who they are, and people coming on the radio and asking if anyone's there, and then when you say yeah, someone's here, and then like they're not willing to like say who they are, and it's like, well, why come on the radio? I don't know. It's just I feel like the radio could just be used better. Like it almost breaks immersion sometimes when you turn on the standard channel, the standard frequency. And there's a lot of like when story is developing on the radio of people like jumping in and screaming insults and out of character memes, all that kind of stuff, which just breaks the immersion and breaks the story that's developing. I think it wasn't like the radius of radios increased like a few months ago. It seems to be like there's more people on the radio, which is good, but then at the same time, it just like the quality of it is pretty bad. Like everyone kind of forgets to be in character in a way. That's it, I guess.
I will say that I remember this was also an issue back during, God, years ago now, the East versus West war a few years ago. You would, every time the server hit nighttime, everyone would just hunker down and they'd turn on their radios and it would just become a complete and utter, like, shit-flinging competition where who could talk the most shit the people on the other side. And I mean, it's of course, yeah, it's good to see that the radio is getting used again. But if you have people that are just kind of hijacking it and memeing and treating it like off topic, but in VoIP format, then it's not ideal. Especially if it's getting in the way of people actually trying to push stories and arrange things and use the radio in an in-character sense.
It kind of ties into the topic last time as well with like how we treat the bad guys on Doug, and like if we jump on there openly saying that we're FL, we get a lot of people just shit talking us, and it's almost like out of character slurs and your mum and all this kind of stuff, and it just feels cheesy and stupid. Like, just makes me want to like log out, man. It's really boring. I know we're the bad guys and everyone hates us, and people probably want to insult us for things that we do, but there's a way to do it. And the way to do it is not like just screaming at us over the radio. There's also like drunk people on the radio as well, and you can tell they're like out of character drunk. Just like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm taking it too serious, but it's pretty cringe radio at the moment, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, the radio system is not great, but like there is definitely something that's there, and if people like, but obviously, like if someone wants to hijack a radio channel and start screaming and like playing soundboards or whatever, then it makes it very hard for people to try and arrange things and actually do things on the radio. I think someone was going to say something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I've experienced like I was pushing like a kind of important part of my story over the radio recently, and there were some people that were like getting involved, which is fine, and if it makes sense. And then there were some people that were just saying shit to say it and like eating chips into the microphone while I was like in the middle of like if you hear something going on that's like semi interesting, just listen for a little bit and let it happen. Like you don't have to have like main character syndrome and like take things over all the time. Just my 2 cents.
Ryan, you're next in queue.
I know radios and changes to radios have been discussed like a million different times, and I think a lot of it's come down to just like the system as it is in game is just absolutely shit. So there's not a lot that can be done like to fix it from a gameplay standpoint, to have like different levels of receiving and sending and such, and more channels and all that. I don't know. I don't know the specifics on the code side of things. I mean, but a lot of it also relies on the out of character behavior too. I would say, well, this actually doesn't quite make sense because we already have something like that in game. I was going to say have different types of radios, but we already have the headsets, the base radios, and then the regular. So I guess that never mind. Ignore me.
If Ryan's done, then Benjamin, you're next.
Yeah, like I don't have any issues with the radio in general. Like I think it's cool that there's this radio where you can hear a voice come over it every now and then. But I think it's since the change, like the usage of it has improved. Like the volume. Like there seems to be always someone on there now. But the quality of it now is just really bad, and sometimes when we go on the radio, it's it's out of boredom. Like we'll play for like a few hours and not have any interactions or whatever, and then just go like, oh, pop on the radio, see who's there. And I think it's like that mentality which makes it a bit bad. It's just like, why am I going on the radio right now? And ask yourself that, like in character, like, do I need to find someone because I'm hungry? Do I need to trade? There should be like a reason that you go on the radio and try and make contact with someone. Like I think it's just because people are popping on and just shooting the shit. It's like that's what reduces the quality of it. Maybe, I don't know.
Bacon, you're next in queue.
Just one thing that I thought of, I've seen it in other servers where they reworked the radios to equip. They had a slot in them that would have an encryption card. Factions might be able to, if implemented, have an encryption card that would allow factions to speak to factions rather than an open radio channel. Just something I thought I'd throw out there.
I've never heard about that, but that does sound really cool.
I'll try to pull some details on it. It was from a different roleplay server that they're pretty stingy about their mods being repacked. But I'm sure they repacked it from somewhere else, so I'll dig around for it. Yeah, exactly, Justice. It's Stalker.
Go ahead, Cassia.
Kasia. But besides that, and you have like some crackers who just eat chips and everything. Like, it can be like that. Then you can like have card and you talk only like in your group, because like sometimes it's in a story. Then sometimes you get radio and listen who people say, and they catch information like that. So that will be like when you make like radio private, like it's I don't know how it will work like that.
Yeah, I don't think that's the answer, to make private channels like that on the radio. I think it's cool that the radio is open.
Ryan, go ahead.
I, for one, fucking love that idea. I don't know if it would be even possible or how difficult it would be to implement. The reason I like that is because, I mean, I don't know how that actually works, but if you can maintain to still have the public radio or the, open radio, but if you want to have more private communications and you, let's say, for example, a group is doing a deal with FL and a group says, hey, here's our encryption card. Here's how you can contact us. You provide that encryption card to your contact, and then you go from there. I don't like, and if that contact dies or somebody loses an encryption card, then that's. I think I personally I love that idea. I think it could be quite interesting, but I don't know exactly how it works to say one way or another.
Bacon is next in queue.
The one thing that I wanted to loop back on, maybe we have a custom radio that, say, established factions and groups would have access to, and get more like a static radio in their point of interest, so that it's not like everybody's walking around with the equivalent of a cell phone. That could be a good middle ground.
Benjamin's next.
I'd just like to go back to what Ryan was saying. I think that would kind of ruin it a bit. Like, I like the idea of maybe someone eavesdropping on our conversation and hearing like the dead drop, or hearing the place where a trade will go down, and then like maybe turning up and like, trying something. I think that kind of might take away like that kind of that risk, which is also which is one of the most exciting things about the radio, in my opinion.
Locke is next in queue.
Yes, I agree with Biscuits. I'd say that part of the appeal of radios as they are right now is that when people are doing a business deal with FL, if they're on the right channel at the right time, they can listen in and they can maybe catch some clues. Maybe they can sniff out a code name or two and then ambush us at a location or meet us, or maybe sell that info to other groups. Locking factions and groups off to solos and newer players in this sense, I just feel like it will kill the normal radio. And it was said in the TS, I can't remember who said, but this mod was also used for Stalker Z. I get why it's used there. That's because Stalker Z requires IC communication always. So even if you are talking in Discord, everything you say in Discord needs to be said in game, as far as I know, which is not relevant for Duck. So I think it would just take something away. If you really want to be only IC, either you can just do it on one of the lesser used radio channels, or just actually enforce it in your TS channel. I wouldn't need a radio for me to act a character loud.
If anyone else would like to respond, the floor is open. I do like the kind of risk you have when using the radio, though I have always thought as like someone that likes the whole IC comms. I like the idea of being able to like link a couple of radios together, but yeah, I do like the risk involved in like the radio as it stands right now, at least.
I just think if you use it, like if you're using it, make sure it's for a reason, like to try and meet up with someone or do a trade or try and catch someone that you've been looking for to try and progress some sort of story. I feel like people just pop on there most of the time because it's just easy interaction, and then they're kind of lazy within that interaction. But yeah, it's just a small one. Like, it's not a huge issue. It's just something that people maybe need to bear in mind. I don't think we need to change the mod or anything.
Matt, you're next.
Yeah, I think Biscuits is absolutely correct. It just needs to be the community kind of being more aware of that, especially members that I've heard on the radio kind of talking shit for no reason. Especially like when other people are like actually pushing a story or trying to meet up. Like members, as like part of the server, you should be better than that, I think. But also I was just thinking, like, I just had an idea just now, but what if, I'm not saying it should be done, but it's an idea. The radios had like two settings. One was like close range and one was far range. Like all radios are open at all times. Maybe you cut the range in half if you wanted to just talk to somebody that was near you, and cut out the people that are double the distance away that are having another conversation. I don't know, just throwing it out there.
A lot of the existing radios do have different ranges. Like, you've got obviously the big radio that goes all over the map.
Yep.
You've got the small, like the kind of standard like transceiver. I'm not sure what the range is on it, to be honest. I'm not sure if they've been increased or if it's still like sort of 8 kilometers as it was. And then you have the headsets, which are like, I think, a couple of kilometers or something like that.
Yeah.
I just think it was good to bring it up because it's
Yeah.
not been brought up since the change where the range got increased, and a lot of people now who play the server are new to the community, and they were, they probably weren't around last time the range was increased. So I think it's just a good
reminder
just to get that message out there. And if you hear like some random crackhead just like screaming on the radio and doing something stupid, just don't reply. Just don't entertain it, and just wait for them to disappear or whatever. Don't shout back at them.
Yeah. They don't get a reaction, then eventually they'll get bored and wander off. So if we think we're done with this topic, then we can put a little bow on it and move on to the next one, which would be Ryan's about Discord voice channels. So if anyone else has any final things they'd like to add to this discussion about radio usage, of course, speak now or forever hold your peace. Right, okay. Now, if Ryan is still here, we can move on to his topic. So the floor is yours, Ryan.
Yeah, so Discord voice channels, I think it'd be a net positive for the server if we're looking at new player retention. I mean, I personally prefer TeamSpeak. I think the voice quality is better. That's just me. But if you ask a lot of people that are either new to the server or new to DayZ in general, they're like, what the fuck is TeamSpeak? And on one hand, you can say, okay, we'll get with the times, and this is what we do here on Doug, or we can adapt so that we can, retain those new players instead of having to say, okay, well, now you have to download this other thing and join to be a part of the community or to talk, to other members of the community. I think when a new player joins the Discord and they see not only people typing in the Discord, but they also are able to, if people are hanging out in the Discord, they can meet other solos that maybe they've had a hard time finding in character. I think in general, and I've seen it many times where a new player gets on the server and everybody's experienced it where they run around for 3 hours and they don't see anybody. And because that's just how things go. And maybe they're not familiar with the flow and how to find people in game. And sometimes it does help to have that just ever so slightly bump out of character outside of the game to say, hey, look, here are some best practices. Here's how you can find, a way to find things out in game, the best way to find them out in game. It's a lot easier to tell somebody that than it is for them to read that after you've typed it to them. I think in general, it's a net positive. That's just my general opinion.
I was also going to say the I'll bet, especially as time goes on, and like a lot of people view even when I mention to people I meet outside of Doug, like, oh, I was in the like Doug TeamSpeak the other day, they're always like, TeamSpeak? I've not used TeamSpeak for like a decade or something like that. And I think that we definitely could be kind of losing some people based on like, oh, I don't want to play on TeamSpeak. I definitely don't think that TeamSpeak should like go away or anything like that. Like, it should certainly still be here, but I do also see the point that maybe some Discord VCs could kind of help retain people or be a good place for people to kind of group up and like meet people, because obviously there's like the Doug group recruitment thing and a place where like solos can sort of advertise themselves, but if like one person posts in there like, "Hi, I'm looking for someone to play with," blah 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 blah, all this and that, and then someone else comes along like 3 days later or whenever it may be, like, "Oh, do you still want to play?" Whereas if they're like, if they see someone like actually sitting in a VC, they might be like, "Oh, I'll jump in there and see what they're doing, or see if like I can run with them," something like that. Go ahead, Biscuits, then, since Louis has retracted his queue.
I believe this idea has been pushed forward or been given before to happen, and a lot of people don't understand why it's not happened. And I think it's because the moderation of those channels will be very difficult, I believe. And personally, I feel it would be like kind of a meta nightmare, in my opinion, because you like, if solos and random players joined the Discord channels, they could just like meet up and stuff, and I don't like easy. I don't know. I don't really like the idea, to be honest. I get it though when people say it's people like don't really use TeamSpeak anymore. 100% get that. But I'm not sure the benefits of having that would outweigh like the negatives that it would bring. Could be wrong though.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm wrestling with how to pronounce your name again. I've already forgotten, but you're next in queue.
Kasha. It's just Kasha.
Right,
Okay, but
Kasha.
if I mentioned this topic, then that's supposed to be channel for new. Like, why we don't make few channels for new people, and like if members see someone over there, like can join and explain people how it's work, and then tell him about the TeamSpeak and everything. Because I think that will be better for new people. Because like they can just wait for a few minutes. I think that always is someone online, and always some member can check Discord, and if someone show up, he can like jump for 3-4 minutes and explain how it's work, how find to people and everything. Like I don't say he must like explain everything, like every story and everything, but tell him like how he can like found himself in this world.
I do kind of like the idea of having like, obviously, like, I look up at the like TeamSpeaks, like the group 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, those sorts of channels. I think a couple of those could be cool. But also, you'd kind of made me think of there was some like, I guess, community support channels where like someone can sit in there, and then like if they have like a question or something that like maybe doesn't require admin attention, but is just like a simple like some simple thing that like a member could maybe answer, so that if they sit in there and someone like sees them sitting in there and wants to be helpful, they could like hop in and be like, "Okay, what's the issue? What's going on?"
Yeah, like that's the idea. Like make like channel when something like even in the name like channel I'm new, something like that. Explain me something, and I think that will be the good idea. Because I think if someone like jump on the TeamSpeak and just join to group 1, 2, 3, like not everyone know, then this person want to like talk to someone.
Though, yeah, the I think I've completely lost my train of thought, damn it. I had something popped into my head, but now it's fucking gone again. So if anyone else has anything to say, then feel free, and I might be able to remember what I was thinking.
Remember, I want to ask Ryan, because he came up with the idea originally. Does he want it where like all the faction and groups have their own like channels that they can moderate, or does he just mean like 1 or 2 group like public channels for people to just jump on and say hi, basically?
I would say, I think that's kind of more so up for the community to decide, because I'm not necessarily a faction guy or a group guy, but what I would, in my perfect world, I would definitely say having a setup similar to TeamSpeak and allowing those individual factions. And I don't know how difficult that is to set up with Discord because I'm a fucking boomer. But basically, you know, if those individual factions want to have a Discord channel within the Doug Discord, or a Discord voice channel within the Doug Discord that they can use to hang out in the Discord, whether they're playing Doug or not. And I think that's perfectly fine. And if they would choose to lock that, that's, you know, up to them. I think it would be important to have, you know, the groups 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the Discord channel. I can definitely see the concerns about, like, okay, it could potentially break meta, or it could potentially, you know, have some issues of, like, you know, some random joining in and say, hey, what are you guys doing? Or what's happening? Where are you guys at? But I think that's, you know, up to us as, you know, community members to be like, hey, look, here's probably the best way you should approach that. And maybe try not to, I mean, the same rules of TeamSpeak and other out-of-game comms would apply in this scenario, so I don't see why that would be treated any differently. But long story short, in a perfect scenario, I would be okay for the individual faction channels and having the groups, and also maybe having like a specified area for those new group members, basically, or those new solos or anything like that.
As someone that has a little bit more experience with like setting up a Discord, it would definitely be doable, and you could definitely set it so that, say, only specific people have are able to kind of join a channel, like maybe allow everyone to see it, but like have a, I don't know, a Fireflies channel, and like only the people that are in the Fireflies, like that are on the Firefly roster, I guess, are able to come in there, and then maybe you can, if you've got like a new recruit that wants to join, you can give them like some sort of permissions or something like that. I think it would definitely, it doesn't require ranks. You can make specific people, like, you can like set up a channel and be like, only person A, B, C, and D can go in here. Like, it doesn't need like only people with the Firefly role can go in, only people with the Dark as Midnight role can go in. Like, you can set it so that only individual people can go into these rooms. It doesn't need to be role based. Yeah, that is definitely a lot more for the like admins to do workload wise.
Yeah, couldn't you get a bot to do it though? Couldn't you just get a bot to say?
Maybe. If you could somehow link a bot with like the rosters for each faction and have it give them like permissions to enter a channel based on what faction they're in, but that's beyond my realm of expertise.
Pretty sure there is. Like when you join a Discord these days, and you know you want to join a specific channel, and you just click join. Would it be hard to like have a bot like say what's the password first? Probably not, right?
I know there's a lot of crazy shit you can do with like Discord bots, but I don't really mess around with bots much myself, but I'm sure if there's someone more knowledgeable, then they would be able to chime in with that. Still not remembered the first thing I was wanting to say, but anyway, Solus is after me in the queue, so go ahead, Solus.
Say, talking about the design of Discords and stuff, I firmly believe less channels the better. Keeping the Doug Discord as clean as possible would be one of the better moves. I think even right now with the addition of some of the threads and how your Discord auto follows drip check and every new thread that's being created is kind of a problem for how the Discord looks in general, but that's a separate topic. If this is used, I think it would have to be like 1, 2, and 3, just like 3 public channels that have been mentioned like that design. Something I don't think has been touched on though, especially with new players joining the Discord, when they join and they very clearly see no voice channels, period, it seems like what the clear assumption is there are channels I'm being locked out of. And that's not necessarily the impression we want to give people that join the Discord either. So it's definitely about getting more buy-in for TeamSpeak. There's been so much effort, years of effort, keeping the TeamSpeak in the shape we need it and making it do what we need. And while it may not seem so on the surface to end users, it is a very heavyweight voice platform, say with a lot of different settings you can choose, and it does have more reliability than whatever RTC server Discord happens to have you on at that moment. Say other than that, I don't have the answer for getting people over to the TeamSpeak, but I do think that's the main direction. But I'm not opposed to Discord having a place for members to appear and figure out where to go or get help from other people. Just very limited help, but yeah, that's all.
Something that I also thought of, the thing that I'd forgot before, is obviously the TeamSpeak, it's like an extra hoop for people to jump through. And I guess the more hoops you put for people to jump through, the less likely they are to do it. But it's also it can be a good thing, because I guess it kind of weeds out the people that like maybe don't care as much or are not going to take it like as seriously. Because if they jump into a server and like they see like what Doug is about and they're like, oh, I'm really interested in that, they're gonna like start kind of looking around and trying to figure out how to get into it. So I think kind of it's like a double-edged sword. It deters people, but it can also deter the wrong, like the people that you don't really want coming in anyway. In a sense.
What? Sorry, can I jump in? Or
yeah, go ahead.
What I would like to see is when you join the Discord, maybe have a bot like take you. You know, if you're a new person, maybe have a bot like take you through a few steps, just telling you like what the whole community is about. You know, and then once it's done that, it could say like, you know, what to do next, and then it's like, you know, go in games, seek people out, have a look at the groups, you know, just like try and help new people, and then it when the bot does that, it could say like, oh yeah, you know, you can you know, join the TeamSpeak. We use TeamSpeak as a community, etc. I don't know. I feel like we need to do something to help new people join in, you know?
Yeah, like if the information is accessible to them, then they will, and they like have the kind of initiative to like, oh, I want to play on this server, I want to learn more about this, then they will find it. But I definitely think like joining like a new Discord, especially one like Doug Discord, it can kind of lead you to being like, where do I even start?
Well, that's what I mean. And if there was a bot where you could type like, where do I start ? And then it just like lets you know like what the community is all about, you know, what to do next, how to get started, letting them know that you don't have to be whitelisted, letting them know obviously we use TeamSpeak and blah 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 blah, you know, something like that. That's like an entry level thing for them, to like an FAQ.
Yeah, even if like the like bot that's used in Doug, like the admin bot, would message people with like sort of FAQs and things to kind of help them figure out where they need to go. Obviously, I joined the Doug Discord like years ago, so I'm not sure if there's like anything like that in place now. But yeah, if there is, then that would be cool. Ryan, go ahead.
Some kind of sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say you can get entry bots where it can literally just give you a list of rules of kind of basic stuff. And there's the amount of people that I have came across that didn't know TS existed for this server is ridiculous. So even having that and an entry thing that this is where voice is, if you want to meet new people, blah, 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 that kind of thing would probably benefit the community as a whole.
Okay, Ryan, go ahead.
I'm loving the suggestions for the bots and all that stuff, and you know, putting the things in people's face. But if there's one thing that I've learned in working with the general public and just people in general, is that I would say 9 times out of 10, they're not going to read what you put right in front of them. So having that in addition to those voice channels where they can jump in and have whether community members are already hanging out in there, but they can jump in and a community member can say, okay, well, actually what you want to do is XYZ. I think it just gives that little extra push. And I mean, we can argue that, yes, we don't necessarily want the type of people that aren't going to take the time to read that stuff and look at that stuff. But we all kind of started as shitters one way or another. And I think it's up to us to kind of guide those new people. If we want them to, grow and be better, I think it, will help the process along and help us, retain those new players and maybe show them the light that is Doug.
I agree. We could definitely do more by utilizing the Discord to help those new people that join and want to get into Doug. Like, it's almost like you've got to go searching for a lot of stuff. Like, people don't do that these days, especially young people. They want it all just, boom, straight away. Like, as soon as you join the Discord, they don't want to have to, like, go on the website and all this. It would be ideal if they could, like, and they would, but they wouldn't. So just putting, like, a bot on Discord, like, when you join it, just to, like, ask you questions and go through all that stuff. Even if it's like basic things, and then in the end, if it puts you like in a random channel, which will then just delete when you leave it, that could be helpful as well.
Yeah, I do. I definitely do like the idea as well of having, obviously, like, utilizing more Discord features and bots to kind of help onboard people and educate people. But I do think, like, having, even if we don't go the full, like, route of having, like, faction channels in Discord, I think it would be pretty nice to have, like, some sort of community, like, voice channels akin to, like, I compared it to the lounge at the top of TeamSpeak. Because I remember when a few of us, like, realized that was actually a channel up there, and I think there was, like, a week where there was constantly people sitting in the lounge, like, hey, this is cool, there's, like, a little channel up here we can all gather in. So I think something like that in Discord, where maybe, like, people would just go and sit if they're not really doing anything, or if they're just looking for someone to, like, hang out with or talk to. Not even just to play Doug necessarily, but just bring the community together, all that jazz.
Let me, is there anyone in here that's strictly opposed to the idea of any voice channels at all?
I think the only concern with that I've heard for the voice channels is that the quality of encoding and stuff goes down significantly in Discord. I mean, it still works, but it's just nowhere near on the level of the TeamSpeak servers, just due to the software.
I would say
that's all I've heard. I don't know if that's true. That's just my concern that I've heard from other people.
So there's plenty of Discords that have 100 plus voice users that I've been in,
Yeah.
and I've never.
We've talked about it before.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Runa is next in queue.
I think I generally oppose it on the basis that I think it's going to lead to a lot more meta and taking away from some of the organic nature of Doug. Sure, these same things could happen on the TeamSpeak, but there's like the people who join the TeamSpeak generally seem to be more committed to Doug, have played on it longer, have an understanding of the sort of etiquette that's expected here. Where people just joining the server and seeing voice channels in the Discord aren't really going to have the Doug mindset yet. They're going to join with each other and they're just going to start meting. And I just think that could take away from what makes Doug special. I guess that's all I want to input.
Oswald is next in queue.
I don't have a lot, but I think personally that when I first started using TeamSpeak, the Doug map got much smaller because I would be able to like see who was playing, like who was around, and like I would join them and like make friends, you know. And I feel like if we have like a Discord for it, it's in Discord and super easily like seen, it's gonna like for new players, it's gonna like get rid of like the magic of Doug, I guess, really quickly. And they'll start talking just to like random people who aren't like, I guess, Doug veterans who can tell them how to like how they should play the server and how like, you know, it's more RP, I guess, based, not just to go around and steal tents from community areas they found it, you know. That's all I have to say.
I can see that aspect of the like when you first start on Doug and you're kind of like a fish out of water, and then you're just walking around stumbling from place to place, like where do I go? Where are the people? And then you're like looking at the map and thinking like, oh, are these guys gonna like open fire on me the second I see them, or are they gonna be friendly? Are they gonna offer me food? Like, I do see that aspect of it, but I do think that as time goes on, like more like less and less people are gonna be like familiar with TeamSpeak, and people are quite like people don't like trying new things a lot of the time. Even when I first got on TeamSpeak, I did so quite begrudgingly, but like I just had like people I was playing with at the time that were like, oh, come on, join us on TeamSpeak, so I'd like went along with it. Go ahead, Biscuits.
Yeah, I think the voice channels is definitely something that people like the community's maybe split in half with that. I know that a lot of the admins don't like it as well, so that's a bit of a tough one. But I don't see the reason not to like do like helpful bots and stuff like that when you join the Discord. We could definitely still utilize Discord a lot better. And if I was good at doing stuff like that, I would definitely, you know, do it as a project on the side and get that up and running.
Yeah, I've done some things with Discord. I'm definitely don't think I'm like an expert, but like if I would be happy to try and help if people want to. If, I saw Matt, you said earlier, like you're looking for, I guess, Discord wizards to maybe help with like streamlining and revamping the Discord a little bit.
Yeah, I'm more than willing to work with people that have more knowledge than me to improve it. Obviously, staff always has final say, but if you can present a good enough case for the reasons why it should be implemented and some of the reasons that I've heard here today, I don't see why they shouldn't be. So.
Well, I suppose we could put a pen in that and say that we will work on it. And like, if anyone else has anything else they'd like to say on this topic, then of course, by all means. But if we feel like it has been fleshed out enough, then we can move on to the next topic, which has someone here.
I'll really just quickly say,
Yep.
Based on what everybody's saying and how we've kind of discussed it, in general, I think of it more of like a sticky product type of situation where we have a couple of channels, not for them to just sit and hang out in, not for, you know, for them to sit in hours on end or play the game or be in voice while they're on Doug, but just to stick them and then be able to transition them gradually to TeamSpeak. That's my, you know, my take on it based on what we've discussed.
All right, this is your final opportunity to add anything to it, voice your opinion, or otherwise bring up something about this topic. So speak now or forever hold your peace. Right. In that case, we can move on to the next one. Blaze seemingly still hasn't showed up. I don't know if Hansel is here, though we do have Oswald, so we can crack into Oswald's topic if no one else from the aforementioned topics is present.
What's my topic?
Stick rating.
Oh, okay. All right. Give me a second. So when I made the stick rating, like, I guess, thing in the chat was not because we were stick rated like into the ground or like because it happened to us. It's just the fact that it can happen to people, and it shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be able to happen to people when you can literally go on the coast, find 6 knives, and then go through whatever hour it might take to get the sticks, sharpen them, and go through a wall. And it's not spears; they are literally sharpened sticks, and then just go through 1 or 2 walls. And I don't think that should be allowed because there's no luck, there's no skill involved. It's kind of just like rolling a dial, but it's much faster, and I think much more scummier. What else think about it?
I am aware that there was a group that came to the server some time ago, and they ran around like cutting down trees and bushes and punching into walls with like firewood in their hands or something like that. And to my understanding, that group was warned and told, don't fucking do it again. And honestly, I'd see that kind of in the same vein as this, I guess. Though I can't really speak on the staff's perspective on it. This was just like stuff I heard from other people. Yeah, that's context I didn't have. Thanks, Vriska. Anyway, Vriska is next in queue if you'd like to go.
So it takes an hour to break through this wall. With spears, you have to create, and you need how many? 26? An hour is the same as rolling a dial, but you have to get materials. The defender has an hour to respond to 1 wall. Completely fair, especially compared to old styles of raiding that have existed on Doug for the last 3 to 4 years.
Bunyan, I believe, is next in queue.
Yeah, so I did share a lot of the same opinion with Vriska there. He hit it right on the point with how I used to kind of view it. I do, though, on the other hand, like agree with Oswald in a sense that, yeah, you can have, what I had to deal with before. I'm not naming names, but we had that one group, I think it was a couple months ago, going around, Either or. I also think it's a viable option. Like I used to think it was a viable option when you were hit into the ground and you had nothing left. Although I think I don't know. I wanna bring up a time when I did stick raid through a whole base. It took 4 hours, like 5 hours. It took a long time. So I think it I think it can, I don't know. I have 2 sides to it, and I just wanted to share my opinion on it, I guess, more than anything. Because we've used it, and we've been hit with it, and we've been on both sides of the argument. So, the Legion has.
Oswald,
That's it.
You're next in queue.
So, 2 things. If you have 3 guys, you can get through a wall in 15 to 20 minutes of like just hitting it. That's all it takes. And second thing, is it good for the server to have this as like a viable option to be able to, because rating's not hard. No matter what anyone says, rating's not hard. I have a barely active group. We just get on at the same time a lot, and we are able to go through wherever we want. We have enough stuff to go anywhere and get into any base multiple times. So I think it just comes down to people finding the stuff, looking for it, and just like going over and doing it. Because being able to just take 26 sticks and go through a wall is just outrageous to me. I at least have to go find my, my raid tools. That's it.
Bacon is next in queue.
Oh, sorry, I turned on push to talk and I lost the button. My only concern is that, people brought up the punching walls with firewood. There was a time when it seemed to be standard practice to just pick up the ruined tool and swing, and it forced you to drop it and do that again. It's just cheesy. I don't feel like it has a place in a roleplay environment. That's all.
Vriska is next. Vriska. Oh, he's moving. Okay, and since Vriska's like moving, yeah, go to Ryan.
I mean, I'm not saying I necessarily agree that with stick rating, or that I like think it's okay in particular, but I think in general, when it comes to bases, you shouldn't be safe. Like there shouldn't be any safety in your base. I mean, if we're looking at it from a quote realism perspective, I mean, a wooden wall wouldn't necessarily survive a lot of different things that you could do on Doug to get in. Long story short is, I think people are putting too much faith in bases as a whole. And that's where this stick rating thing becomes a problem. I don't know, just something I'd throw out there.
Vriska, are you able to talk now?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so stick rating takes, and this is how Melee Warning works in general, Oswald. The more people you have, the faster you break through a wall. That's just the nature of the game. That's not going to change no matter what material you use. Stick rating is a consequence of rating being gutted the last 4 years and constantly shut down the CCE to have any kind of changes in favor. Because the fact of the matter is no one wants to get rated. There used to be staff that said, if you can't defend it, don't build it. And if you're worried that your base is going to get run through in 3 hours, don't build it. Use metal walls. It takes infinitely longer than wooden walls to break through with these sharpened sticks that take material to make. There should be changes to rating, but this is just a consequence of the environment that rating has become.
Bacon, you're next in queue.
Oh, lost the button again. Here we go. All I really wanted to put out there was that I haven't done very much rating, but I don't see any reason why you wouldn't just find a splitting axe and some sharpening stones. I feel like that takes the same amount of effort on a regular run as cutting down and sharpening all these sticks. And frankly, I think a crowbar would be more efficient, something you can find quite easily. That's my 2 cents.
Oswald, go ahead.
I just have a question for Vriska. What is hard about rating? What part is too hard?
Oswald, I'm not going to play the game of what's too hard. Rating is factually, and most people who've been rating on the server for the last 4 years can say the same thing. I'm not going to play the tit for tat. Rating is so easy for me and my group bullshit.
I wouldn't say that rating's hard. I would say that it just takes time. That's the main thing. Like, you can just run around in a town hoovering up every single item or every single tool to, like, batter down a wall. It's just a matter of, like, how much time do you need to spend finding those tools and how much time do you need to spend spamming left mouse button as you're punting a wall over and over and over. Go ahead, Bjorn.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem I have with stick rating is the lack of effort it takes to plan for it. All you need is a handful of people. You can be freshies and raid pretty much any base if people are offline. It's not fun. It's not good RP, in my opinion. It's not interesting. If people want to be cavemen and raid big bases, then that's good RP, then I guess. But I feel like requiring axes or like regular tools is a lot more RP and better gameplay, and stick rating shouldn't have any place on the server. That's pretty much all I have to say on the matter. I don't see any benefit to stick rating existing. It's not hard to get plastic or other raid tools or shotgun shells.
Oswald, go ahead.
So, like you said, Fox, it takes time to get stuff to raid. It takes time to build the base. I think it should be very similar to the times it takes to raid a base and collect the stuff to build the base. Around the same. And getting sticks in an hour, you can't build a base in an hour. No matter like how good of a looter you are, you can't get that lucky. You still have to find the 8 tools or however it is, and all the nails and the right dial, and stuff like that. And be vulnerable to cut down the trees, to saw the planks, to do all that kind of stuff. And raiding, it's just right now, it's cut down a tree with your firewood or cut down a stick and sharpen it, and you're in. So basically, it took 2 or 3 days to build.
Go ahead, Bunyan.
So I wanted to say Bjorn hit it on the point where like half of me does feel like that, where it's like the same way Oswald and I talked the other day, and we had the same consensus is, we can have another issue where a group gets on and goes around and ruins a lot of fun. But that's another thing where a lot of people can go, well, the fun is finding that group, ruling out the people who did it, and I think when you have something like that, like the Masquerade back in the day or something like that, where people were like false flagging, people tend to come together in an RP sense. And I'm not saying what they did was wrong, because heck, it was fun for everyone. I think it brought a lot of good RP into it, and it was just like people were confused on who's attacking who, and it's not even a stick rating problem, but I'm just saying like that's the issue it could lead to, is like some people are saying a group could come in and really kind of try to abuse it. I understand that, and that's why part of me does lean on the side where I've kind of lessened up on my guys and said, hey, let's try to find ammo and shoot our way through walls more than stick our way through walls. Do I still think it takes time and effort? It definitely does still take time and effort to stick, raid, or shoot, or anything. I mean, raiding takes time and effort. Whether it be easy for a group or hard for a group is dependent on that group in particular. It's not a it's a case for case basis, right? And it also depends on the time for that group. Like it could be easier 2 months ago than it is now. It's always things are always changing. And Ryan, I think we're talking about spears and stick rating, sharpened sticks. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they actually do the same amount of damage in our testing, by the way, too. So I wanted to point that out. But like I said, also we've been on the receiving end of it. We've been on the attacking end of it. So I can speak on both sides, I guess.
Doc is next in queue.
Yeah, and I totally got my timeline mixed up. I'm a little late, so I'm sorry if any of the points I'm about to say have already been discussed or brought up. But I think inherently stick rating incentivizes offline rating, because it's not actually easy to raid with stick rating. It's easy to get the stuff to do it, but it's damn near impossible if there's actually people there defending the base, right? Because you're just whacking at a goddamn wall for however long. So yeah, I think that definitely stems from the fact that it is a little bit more difficult. Same with like lock hammers. It's very hard to do that safely, or not safely. It shouldn't be safe, but like in a way that doesn't incentivize you to want to do it when a group's not there, because you're just standing there locked into an animation or you're bashing against a wall. So I think other more orthodox ways of raiding that the DayZ is meant to be, utilized for raiding, or in Doug at least, should be a little bit more, I don't know, tweaked a little bit in favor, just to make it less incentivizing to want to do stuff like this offline. Because the harder the normal stuff is, the more people are always going to find these other ways to raid. And I don't think there's much you can really do when it comes to stick raiding, particularly because people are just going to find something else that they can use too. I mean, you're going to have to go through every single item eventually and have to completely remove its ability to do a shit ton of damage to a wall over time, or etc. But if there were more means to raid with normal tools, then people wouldn't be as incentivized to do that, and then more incentivized to also do it in a time where it's going to be safer and they're not going to be getting shot at while they're doing it. That's all I got.
Louis is next.
Yeah, I think we're focused on the wrong thing here. If you build something that can't be rated, or you want to make it more difficult to have your stuff rated, I think you're playing a different game than I want to. In fact, if I built something, it'd be so somebody could break in and take it. So I'm not a fan of. I think it's dumb to stick raid, and I don't see myself doing it. But I think it's the natural consequence of large groups building, large bases and pushing other groups down. And if you get rinsed a number of times, your group's going to get desperate. And if you don't have a big group, or if your group is not as dedicated, or doesn't choose to prioritize your time in your life to play the game, then you might be, your group, to have some fun, might actually choose to stick raid. And I don't think there's any shame in that. I think it does take a lot of time to build a base, but I don't think we're here to build bases or to raid them.
Biscuits is next in queue if you're done, Louis.
So I'd like to start off by just clearing the air on something which people might be getting mistaken. So for a lot of the old school Doug players, stick raiding means not necessarily raiding with the actual object sticks, but hitting a base with any melee weapon that you can find is also classed as stick raiding. I think to remove that from the game is changing vanilla, like the vanilla, way too much. And I know that Doug has never wanted to do that, go away from the base game. And I think making that change would be doing that. Sharpening a load of sticks with a load of knives is cheesy. I would never do that, but sometimes, I might be in some town and rock up on a one-door half-built base or something like that, and I want to jump in and have some fun. And if that requires me to go and find an axe or something in town, maybe 1 or 2 sharpening stones in the next town, I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to play the next 1 or 2 hours, doing that, and I'm going to go and hit that wall down. Taking that away from me is, it's just removing like a huge part of the game that a lot of people enjoy. In terms of the whole like offline raiding and stick raiding and everything like that, it's not an issue, because this is an issue that solves itself through the ticket system. If you keep getting offline raided by someone with sticks, in fact, if you come online the next day and you've been raided, you should put a ticket in and say, look, I've been raided, none of us are online, could you just check it and make sure? And if there's someone going around sharpening sticks and raiding 4 or 5 bases a week, the admins are going to see that, they're going to tell them to stop it because it's not Doug nature. They're either going to get annoyed and leave, or if they keep doing it, they'll get banned. So it's something that just filters out. There's no need for this discussion, I don't think. And that's all I've got to say.
Solus is next in queue.
I try to keep this short. I believe Vriska and Doc kind of handled the things I was going to mention. The sharpened stick rating is basically a non-issue. The group being mentioned, not only were they drawing a large community of people with bad intentions to Doug to do the rating they were showing off, their RP specifically was your land is my land. We're not going to let anyone have any type of land, period. Like, if you have a wall somewhere, they deserve to be past it for no actual reason. That was it. And that was, their RP got handled and they got addressed by staff properly. Separately, if it's not sharpened sticks, which I want to make that clear to people, that might need to be handled, because that is a brand new meta resulting from arrows that got modded in for the improvised bow on Doug. You sharpen sticks to make literally just the improvised arrows, and that's what people are using. And I believe it might be a problem with where the efforts combined in. Use a melee weapon is my, opinion. Separate from that, I don't think it's an issue because people are going to jump to raiding with cans of food or bones like they have in the past, and each of those items will get nerfed to have 1 HP, and all of our bones will ruin in our pockets, and we'll be glad our walls are a little bit safer for it. But this is going to handle itself, and it doesn't really need to be taken seriously. And maybe sharpened sticks should have been addressed as like a raid tool in the past in a weird way, because it is sort of a meta. Like, but that's it for me.
Oswald is now up.
All right. So Henry said that if he finds a one wall half built base, right, that he should be able to go into that base. He should be able to go in that base if he goes through the same process that guy that built the base to like get all of those supplies for his base, to get all the supplies for raiding. And that shouldn't be the bushes outside of his house. That is just stupid to me. Also, we don't care about the raids that like have happened to us. We built Starry just for the sole reason for good guy groups to retaliate against us. But we didn't expect people to come at 2 a.m. and stick raid us. We expected people to come in the same way we went in, come in loud and go through our gates, kill all of us, you know? That's what I expected. Can anyone say that stick raiding is good for the community? Like, good for Doug? Anybody?
I think raiding is. I don't know. Stick raiding, that's
I
different.
agree. I raid almost every week.
But like everybody else has said too.
Don't see a problem
Something
with
else
that
that's
too.
not sticks.
I think the problem is we're misunderstanding the use or why we're having bases, because the problem is with bases, you're not safe. You're not supposed to be safe, because if you're sitting there with your base with all your loot, you're not looting around. You're not going around and looting. You should be able to be relatively, maybe not easy, but it shouldn't be super difficult. You shouldn't have to go through the exact same effort to build a base versus raiding it, because you then should be going around and looting and possibly finding interaction and possibly pushing story and so on. That's my opinion on it. Sorry if I've interrupted anybody's queue.
Bacon is next in queue.
So I just scribbled this down because it was something I felt worth saying. Really, I think this is just part of a larger conversation, and there's a lot of intersections into, why people might do this, how it's done, differences in play style, etc. I think it might be beneficial to put a thread together if people can be, discussing it in good faith, just to see it from all sides. I don't know if that's something that could happen, but that's just how I like to handle things. That's all I got.
Ryan is next in queue.
The thing I'll say is, going back to the ticket situation, if you're being offline rated and you're being offline rated multiple times, I agree. We need to submit tickets. Perfect example. Wasn't necessarily a raid, but what happened to me recently was I had some dials and I thought a bunch of people rolled a bunch of my dials in the span of however many hours. I was like, well, shit, it is what it is. Another person with me was like, we should probably ticket it. Well, turns out it was a hacker that teleported into the base and stole a bunch of shit. So that's just a perfect example. Is if you've been raided, whether or not it's a targeted offline raid or it's just a coincidence, it is what it is. Ticket it to put in the trail. If it's a consistent thing, that person will be dealt with. Have faith in a ticketing system. And I think that will change a lot of behavior if it really is problematic behavior. And then I'll reiterate that you still should not be safe in your base. Yes, it's convenient to have a nice place to store your loot. It's a convenient thing to be able to run back and grab some shit real quick and get right back out there. But that prevents you from going out where you could possibly run into a group or possibly get into some PvP or possibly push story, because you're going right back to your base and getting your loot. Like it creates a cycle or a lack of a cycle if you're able to just easily and simply store everything inside of your base and then you're happy, good to go.
I will add on to that. If someone is like intentionally being a shitter and raiding offline and all that, or just like doing the whole firewood stick thing, then yeah, if you don't ticket it and like the staff team doesn't realize what's going on, then it makes it so much harder for them to hammer down on them and establish like a pattern. But yeah, Biscuits is next in queue, so go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like removing stick raiding entirely, so you can't hit a base or do damage to walls with melee weapons is crazy talk, man. I've never heard anything like it before. So as a change on Doug, like it really is. I mean, if I come across a base, if I join the server and play for a few hours, then come across a base and think, oh, you know what, I'm gonna try and get in this base. I can jump behind the first gate and then I'm gonna try and bash my way into the second gate with a load of melee weapons that I've found. Basically, you're saying players can't do that anymore.
I don't mean to interrupt you, big dog, but I never said anything about melee weapons. I said sticks. Go.
Yeah, so that is stick raiding.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I know someone pointed out earlier that to a lot of the older guys around here, stick raiding is like generalized as all melee items, I think, for a lot of people.
And that's what I said before when I
Unfortunately,
spoke last.
What some people are getting mistaken on is that if you sharpen the stick to make the improvised arrow prior to adding feathers to it, you actually raid walls with that specifically. And that is a meta that only exists on Doug and Daisy Down Under because of the improvised bow being re-added back. It's not a vanilla thing, which it's a little different than finding all your melee weapons, but it is similar effort. It's absolutely right, as it's been mentioned.
So is this sharp and long sticks, or is it?
Yes.
Sharp and short sticks. You break short, long sticks down. You get a million short sticks a variety of ways, like you're building an improvised shelter. And then rather than putting 50 sticks into a couple slots for you to store some stuff, your 50 sticks become 50 melee weapons to attack a wall.
But that's not in the Doug nature, right? So then that's down to then the ticket system to remove those players who are doing that if they continue after a warning. Isn't that right?
I follow that mantra, yes.
So if someone uses stick raid, the only effective way to stick raid someone is if they're not home, so to offline. So we are going to allow the ability for like the best way for someone to offline someone with sticks. Go do it, and then ban them on the back end if they do it twice. That's what we're saying.
If someone can do it while you're home, I think they've earned it, though. You know.
Then sure, then they can do it, but it just shouldn't. It's just incentivizing stick raiding.
So you're just saying that, like,
offline raiding.
Yeah, it's just offline. That's the main problem at the end of the day here.
The trouble is, if you say reduce the damage of these items, then as Solar said, the arrow will always damage in your backpack, or the person who used sharpened sticks before will find something else. There's always going to be some sort of cheesy tactic that these people will be able to use to get inside your base. Unless you
see them, we can deal with them.
Unless you completely turn off hitting walls with a melee weapon, which you can do because there's other servers like that where you can only use IEDs.
That's something extreme.
Yeah, it is extreme, and that's the point that a lot of us are trying to make. Who are like anti this discussion. And if unfortunate, if you do get offline raided by somebody with this cheesy tactic, but just report it, the trail will be made. If they're doing like 3 or 4 of those raids in the space of a few days, they're probably going to get spoken to by an admin. And then if they don't stop doing it, they're going to get banned. And then that's it.
So they're going to get banned for doing this thing that we're trying to get rid of.
All right, well, it's my turn to queue. Anyway,
They're gonna get banned for offline raiding.
Yeah, that's I think the point here is if they're doing this, it doesn't matter. You don't have to get rid of the ability to do it. It's the fact that they can never actually successfully, realistically do it unless it's an offline, and that's where the point in lies sits. I mean, as far as what I think most people seem to agree that they're against. So if you're doing it, you're most likely doing it at offline times. So you take it, they get banned. Let them still have the ability to do it because if they try to do it while you're home, you can see how that goes for them. But I don't think you should have that ability taken away completely just with all the other aspects of the game that it could affect, as Sola said, with arrows breaking easier and stuff like that, or having to go through and they're not going to figure out another item. It's just an endless cycle. But at the end of the day, the only reason it's a problem is because it is done in an offline time. And I think that's kind of where the confusion here about this whole discussion is. Is it really about the how it's being done or when? And for the most part, it sounds like it's only being done at a time where they're intentionally doing it when they know you won't be home. And then you ticket it, problem solved, just like any other offline raid.
Bjorn is next in queue.
All right, so I think one of the things I keep hearing is the discussion of online versus offline rating. I think everybody prefers online rating because it's more fun and enjoyable for everyone, raiders and raidees. I think the concern I've heard is a lot of people are equating stick rating with melee weapon rating. And I feel like if you use an axe or a sledgehammer or a hatchet or whatever, fine. Not ideal to have people offline raid, but I don't think we want to have anti-raid protection and you can only raid during these hours on Saturdays because that's when most people are on, or any of that kind of stuff. I do think it's incredibly cheesy for people to grab things that aren't intended or make sense to damage a wall, like a sharpened stick, to beat their way in. And I think maybe going and adding that just as guidance to the rules for the server, just like don't go and clip your storage crate into a tree, seems like a pretty reasonable, balanced way to deal with it. I don't think anybody's saying we shouldn't be able to use fire axes to break down a wall, right? Just don't be cheesy. And I think that's pretty in keeping with Doug. I guess that's kind of all I had to say on the matter.
Tim is next in queue.
All right, I think Bjorn pretty much summed it up perfectly. Is yes, focus on the don't be a jerk aspect of it. Always report raids because you never know what happens. And more in the theme that it's probably easier to go find 12 hatchets or whatever the secret little recipe is to get through a wall than it is to find the explosives and clackers to get it, especially if you stay in the south or not in tier 3. So just don't be a jerk, report every raid. Next person.
If I can, real quick as well, just to clarify some rating that even the admin team's been dealing with. We look at your play times. So if you have reasonable play times during the day where you can actually raid somebody at the hours even they're around, that's great. But if you're sitting there and you play the day and all of a sudden you go at night and you start raiding people when you could have raided during the day, that's when we're going to smack your hand, and that's where we're going to come after you. If you have the ability to raid during hours where people can defend themselves, that's one thing. But if you go out of your way to raid somebody, then when they're not around, that's a problem. Now, you've got somebody like FL who, there's a lot of guys from EU, so that's their regular playtime that they raid. That's what's just going to happen. You're going to have to clean up, or you're going to have to try and maybe check your base every now and then. But just even recently, we've had a bunch of guys just get smacked because of that same reason. They raided BTG, they failed, and then they, within less than 48 hours, tried to raid them again at 1 a.m. East Coast time. And they had no defense at all. They just got right in. It's like, okay, well, that's a fucking problem because there's at least 3 of you right now in that group that could have just waited, a few more hours till they could actually defend themselves. So that's the main point as well. I mean, I think it was Deathbringer who brought the stick rating in here and started doing it, and that kind of got copied, and we didn't have a problem with it. But again, it's mainly don't be dicks and just do it during your normal playtime. You know what I mean? Like, do it when people have a chance. We've cultivated, I think, a pretty good system lately where this place has been as healthy as it can be. I mean, I know there's going to have problems here or there, but the admin seems really happy with the culture that's going on. So just the big thing is always just care about the person behind the screen. You know, it's just, you know, items. They're just bullshit. So, you know, if you lose, you lose. You win, you win. But, you know, like, just make it fun for everybody.
Okay, in case people didn't see in the chat, I've stopped adding new people to the queue for now. We're going to go through the queue and then like the people that are in the queue currently and try and wrap up the topic because we have been on this for quite a while. Bunyan's next in queue.
Yeah, so when it comes to the short sticks thing, we didn't even know about that. That's I was unaware about that. But the other thing I wanted to bring up is the one time we did fully get through a base with sticks and bullets. It was you know, we do try to, especially like back then before my grip kind of loosened in a sense because I've been a little bit away dealing with IRL stuff. That's another problem. I'm getting everything back on track. I promoted, you know, when we're online, when other groups are online, that's, you know, and I try to work with other groups behind the scenes too, not to, you know, try to make sure the room's good. But you know, it's um it's it's upsetting too when you get on midday on a Saturday and you go to a group space and you know and they're not there and you're like ah, but you still get in and do it. You know, I think there's times when you do that, but I know that was that time we got in all the way. So I guess I just wanted to bring that up, you know. Yeah, promote you know, online raids for sure. I think it's always good to stay in contact with other leaders and just at times like the kingdom and us, we worked really good behind the scenes to make sure the fun was good. At least it seemed like that, and I try to do that with other groups too. So yeah, always feel free to PM me.
Louis is next in queue, and then we'll try and close off the topic.
I'm all right. I mean, if sharpened sticks are literally the problem, and that they haven't been happening on other servers because it's not modded in, well, that's great. But I mean, there have been times where I've used sharpened sticks to, you know, defend myself against a pack of wolves, and for those to ruin immediately or something like that. If there's a solution out there, I haven't heard it yet, for how to take away the stick arrows, or the stick. Is it the stick arrows or just the stick bolts?
Stick arrows.
Just stick arrows.
Bolts, I assume, would work absolutely very similarly.
Yeah,
All right.
we use long sticks, so.
So if it doesn't seem like the stick arrows are the problem or the stick bolts are the problem. It's just that people don't want to be raided with sticks, it seems.
Next.
I think, well, does anyone else have anything they'd like? Well, I think Doc pretty much hit the nail on the head in terms of, like, staff's view on this. And just as a, like, response to what Tim said, for sharp sticks to do 0 damage against walls, I'm not sure if that would even be possible, because I think every item you hit a wall with is going to do some sort of damage. Though, I think, yes, this topic has been beaten to a pulp, and then the pulp has been beaten multiple times after the fact. So, and I think there's been some good insights here from Matt and Doc on, like, the staff sort of view of it. So hopefully that brings some sort of closure to it. Though,
I'd prefer our members actually, you know, take some time and effort to do a raid, you know, but I don't think we're gonna ban sticks at this time. It's just more of like, I mean,
people being dicks.
We might shake our heads at you and be like, come on, man. Like
Right. In that case, we will be moving on to the next topic. I don't think Hansel or Blaze is here either, so we can move on to the next one that has someone that's actually here, which I think is Runa's. If Runa is here.
Yeah.
Alright, the floor is yours. Take it away.
So I'll just read this off again. But I love the idea of adding loot in certain regions that corresponds with Doug's history. As I posted in the thing, examples of what I'm referring to could be higher rates of red clothing spawning in Gorka, maybe combat helmets spawning in Zeleno military, more sheep spawns around Goglovo due to them herding sheep, which I've seen many times, and more battery spawns at Radio Zenit as a nod to the scribes. And I'm sure there's plenty of other ideas we could come up with. And I'd love to hear what the admins think about this as well. But I think these sort of things could kind of present Doug as like a living, breathing world, a world with a history that the players have made an impact on over the years, and just make it feel more like lived in, more impacted. And I would say most of these changes should be like non-combat things, not guns, not ammo, obviously. Nothing that would give you a meta advantage, per se, but just like small little nods. I don't know if anyone else has an opinion on this, so I'd love to hear what other people think.
This reminds me of a suggestion that came through a while ago. I can't remember if it was CCE or if it was a community meeting suggestion, but it was about spreading, like, making certain items, like, more abundant in certain areas of the map. It wasn't specifically related to, like, lore things, like, obviously the, like, more red clothing in Gorka, but it was, like, maybe if you want, like, nails, you're more likely to find nails in the southwest. If you want, I don't know, if you want, like, another, like, certain thing, like 4 dials, and you're more likely to find them in the northwest or something like, so it gives people more reason to kind of move around the map so that you're not sitting in, like, a town like, for example, Zeleno, that has a big military base that's tier 3, some really good civilian spots that spawn press vests, a police station, like, it's so that you've not got all of the eggs in one basket, and you're kind of encouraged to be like, oh, if I want to find one of these, I need to go over here. I need to find one of these, I need to go over here. But I do also like the whole lore idea of, yeah, like, you find either more red clothing or Warboy helmets around Gorka or batteries around Zenit, things like that, that kind of add a little sprinkle of history. Though I'm not sure how possible it would be. Bacon is next in queue.
The only thing I had to add was this could also correlate to some of the tapes. That way you can sort of seek out the tapes you're looking for. In a particular case that pertains to me, I've been searching for the Void, which is relevant to the Overlook's history, and have yet to find a copy. It would make sense that you might find that in a place that relates to the tape, i.e. you'd find Red Star's tapes more likely in Star ER.
I have a quick interjection. I've just remembered that I think the cards already work like this. Like, I think you're more likely to find sort of a United Nations card in, like, Novaya Petrovka, for example, a Dark as Midnight card in, like, Gorka or Berezino. It's just something I've kind of noticed. Bjorn is next in queue.
Yeah, so having played on other servers, and I'm not suggesting we do base building plus on Doug. I don't think it would ever have a place on Doug. One of the things that you would find is there was a cement mixer in 2 or 3 spots around the map you needed to make high tier buildings. And it meant there was a lot of action at those locations. Because if the only place you could go to get the things to build your good tier 3 gates were there, you had to go there, you had to hook a generator up. Like, there's a lot of stuff involved. And it made for some really interesting interaction. I'm not sure how to do that on Doug without unbalancing a potential location. Like, if hypothetical half the Neils of the game spawn in one spot, like, people would be camping it to the end of time. I don't think that's a good idea. But I do really like the idea of having some lore specific things that would kind of drive people to certain areas. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And I think there's a lot of potential there. I do think we need to be careful that it's not combat or, high tier loot. Yeah, we should have tons of gray coats spawning in Castle Zub. All for it. No, but I guess that's all I had. Next.
Doc is next in queue.
I mean, the big one, I think it's a cool idea. You have to flesh it out pretty well, and then you're going to have to present it to Diesel and Desync, really. It's just kind of their baby. And that's the main people you're going to have to truly convince after you kind of get everybody else on board.
Louis is next in queue.
Diesel's very protective of his CC. I'm sorry, his CLE.
Yeah, I like the idea if it were easy to do in terms of coding. It just is a lot of work to remap all of those areas that you want to affect spawns in. It's from my knowledge of how the CLE is coded in the areas, and across all these XML files, it's tough to do. And I don't know if the Diesel's time is best spent there or somewhere else.
Runa is next in queue.
All right. Well, if that's what it comes down to, if other people have ideas that would like to, if the community overall supports this idea, what we could do is a few people, maybe representatives from groups and some solos, could meet with me and discuss the changes we want to see. We can put it in a Google Doc and then submit it to Diesel and Desync. And obviously they can still say no if it's not worth their time.
Yeah.
But this
that
is
would
something
actually be-
that interests me. And if the community overall is on board and volunteers would like to contribute for ideas, I'd love to put together a document to submit to them. And like I said, if they say no, then that's fine.
Even a CCE suggestion where people can also provide insights and things. But yeah, definitely flesh it out before you put it to the CCE, so that it's kind of thought through and people know what they're putting their vote behind, more or less. Because the more clarity in these things, the better. So if we feel like that topic has been addressed, then we can move on to the next one. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say with it? Speak now or forever hold your wished. Okay, next topic that I believe belongs to someone is James's topic, which I leave to you, Mr. James.
Yeah, so basically it's very simple. The drip check thread, it's kind of ruined in a way. There was a lot of stuff that happened behind the scenes, and when you open up drip check, what you expect is people sharing their drips in game, but now it's kind of just filled with chit chat, and you kind of gotta scroll up. I wanted to remove it before, but now I have a better idea. I feel like if we could make a cooldown for the messages, so people would focus on posting their pictures instead of their message, and then react to the other person's message, making it more simpler, make it cleaner, so it's more enjoyable to read. I don't know. Just wanted to put it out there and see people's opinions.
All right, next person in queue is Max. So go ahead, Max.
You could make it media only. That way people can just respond within a reaction or whatever and not shit talk or I don't
know. Doc is next in queue.
I kind of wanted to do that, and I wasn't sure how, so it's media only. Because yeah, I was thinking about restarting it because we were talking about it, and we've got people who are, I mean, just dicks, and they'll start posting people's drip after they kill them, which is, yeah, I'm not really for that. That's why I've said it a couple times in there. I want that place to be a happy place. I'm trying to make Discord, a happy place. Like I said, I'm just trying to clean this place up as far as just that toxic, bullshit that happens in backgrounds. So I was looking at drip check and someone to close it, some don't. But if I could do the media only, I would do that, to be honest with you, and just start a new thread myself.
Either media
And if I s-
only or put like a slow mode, like a significant slow mode on it, like 30 minutes, I think Vale suggested.
I gotta see if I can test it. So I might play with it today. You might see me make a few threads, and I'll just delete them. Yeah, the only thing I can do is probably just remove shitty ass, like I guess reactions if they're being dicks.
Right.
Yeah, I know, CJ. I was thinking about that too. Yeah.
Okay, I think Matt is next in queue. I kind of lost my place.
No,
So
I'm all set. I'll let Doc do his job today. I'll step back.
Oh, you're fine.
No, you kind of handled it. I was gonna say I'll mess around with it and see what we can do, and then have the community kind of. And now
Yeah.
CJ wants me hold, so I'll just stop.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Go ahead, Cherokee.
Hey y'all. So I think can you hear me? First of all, I assume you
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
I think drip check is cool and I think it's like all fun and stuff. It's fun to look at people's drip and stuff, but like I feel like like a lot of people have said the potential for metagaming is pretty massive. I know I've personally experienced it where my so personally, my character in my group, we meet some people, but not a lot. But we have instances where people run up to us and like we're like, oh yeah, and then they're like, oh, you're that guy, and then they just like run away, and I'm like, how would you have known that? And you know what I mean? I mean, maybe that's a little silly to expect no metagaming, period, because I know it happens, but I definitely feel like it's definitely a harder meta tool than the map, so to say.
Yeah, I can see that aspect of like people being like, "Oh, it's this person. I know you're from that group. I owe money to that group. I'm out of here. Bye." But there's always like people like showing off their outfits.
That is true.
If people can't show off their outfits, then they're gonna miss drip check being gone. So it's like, I mean, I guess it kind of is similar to the map in a way. Like, you're kind of putting yourself out there and being like, hey, please don't metagame me. If you see me in the distance coming towards you, don't, like, run away just because you're like, oh, this person's in that group. Run away. Biscuits is next in queue.
This is going to sound like I'm admitting to, like, metagaming, but I've definitely had it before where I've killed someone and then seen... Because obviously I'm always checking PID of a dead player, so I can try and like ID them or whatever. And then I've definitely seen that player like, in PID or something like that, and I've gone, oh yeah, that's that guy. So you kind of like worked out who you've killed or whatever by that as well. So that's like another thing to add. And then obviously, it's kind of annoying to know out of character who you've killed rather than it being a mystery.
CJ, I think, is next in queue.
I understand like people's concern for meta, but meta happens all the time. There's good meta, there's bad meta, but if you are putting yourself on that Discord and get upset that someone acts you a certain way in game, that's kind of on you. Like, I know they shouldn't do it, but it's a fucking game. Like, people are going to do it anyway. So if you are putting yourself, your drip or whatever, and people shoot you because of that, like, well, I don't know what you really expected.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to say about that? Oh, Louis, go ahead.
What purpose does it solve for people? Why put your drip out there?
I think people just like to take pride in like the
Endorphins.
outfits, and they're like, "Oh yay, everyone likes my outfit!"
Yeah.
Tee hee hee, like fashion show.
It's basically our Facebook, you know.
I mean, if that's your thing.
Yeah.
It just seems like I agree. It's an opportunity to meta that isn't necessary. I'd rather people would go up in game and ask who somebody is and get their name as opposed to knowing.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's become a trend, right? Where somebody started like 2 years ago maybe, and then Desync made a thread for it to kind of keep it all clean, which is cool. You know, people seem to like it, and I mean, I don't have a problem with it. It's just I have a problem with people being assholes about it. So, what my 2 cents was, you know, if you start seeing stuff like that, let me know, because that's kind of like a personal peeve for me. People being dicks just to be dicks. We'll keep an eye on it and tally it up and address it.
Bunyan is next in queue.
So I mean, I guess, you know, a lot of my guys use it, but I do like what a lot of people are saying with the meta, and I do agree with that to a sense. Like, you know, I think it could be unavoidable, or it could be, you know, unavoidable or avoidable, I should say, in a sense. But yeah, like CJ said, people are going to do that. It's game. So, but like other people have said, it's avoidable. Then again, you see a Lost Legion guy, and you know what we look like now. So I mean, everyone that's
Yeah.
no hiding. So, but yeah, I don't know. That's all I wanted to say.
Facts.
Did I queue?
Oh yeah, floor's open. Or wait, I didn't scroll down.
It kind of it puts the images of players in your head that you really shouldn't know what they look like. So you can ID someone and you've never met them before in game. I don't think that's a good thing.
And I agree there. Not to butt in, but I do.
Like, there's new players and new groups. I know what they look like now just by looking at that thread. And if I see them in game, I know it's them. And I've never seen them before. I don't think that's. But then you know, we've always had like videos and stuff where you have that mental image, but the drip check is just like in your face. And going back to originally what James said, I just don't know what it does for the community really. Who cares, man? It's just loot.
Doc is next in queue.
I mean, where'd it go? Nate. Yeah, I mean, it is against the rules of the metagame. You're right. I mean, I think Desync just knew it was something fun that the community enjoyed, and you know, because he's the creator of that particular one. Yeah, I just think he thought it was something people enjoyed. He thought it'd be fun and have, you know,
like
a good
if you've
time with
never,
it. But
yeah,
yeah,
like for example,
you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah, like if you've never come across a Lost Legion and then then you read drip check and you see a bunch of people like coming down a hill with great coats on, you know it's Lost Legion, even if you've never met them in game before.
CJ is next in queue.
I mean, you can say don't use it in game, but you can't turn off your brain. You can't turn off your brain, man. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's a good point. But also something that's always just been an issue with Doug in general, especially the last few years, is self-control when it comes to each player. And so like if you really don't want to accidentally meta somebody, like it sucks that you like looking at drip check, but you might just want to mute the channel and not look at it and not ruin it for yourself while you're in game if that's important to you.
yeah, I've not looked.
But
I've not
I
looked
get
for
I get what
ages.
you're saying for sure.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen somebody I'm like, oh, I know who that is, but it's kind of up to what you decide to do in game at that moment.
Yeah, I think there's always going to be that like subconscious like, oh, I recognize this person, even though you're like trying to like be impartial. I think there's always going to be like a sort of kind of an effect that it'll have, because like in your head you know, oh, this is such and such person from such and such group. it's hard to shake those like preconceptions you have of people based on like external knowledge. But yeah, like I poke my head into drip check occasionally because outfits are cool, but I try my best to not let like someone's outfit I've seen influence how they're treated in game. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to bring up about this?
Is
Go
that
ahead.
really an issue though? Oh, sorry. I'll shut up.
Go ahead, Bunyan.
So yeah, I guess a lot of it does come down to just, I mean, how good you are just staying in character in game. I know for me, I don't look at drip check too often at all, but I think the last time I posted something in there was like last wipe when I was in full drip. But so I think what it comes down to is like the new people who are really new and they get in, they can just look at drip check and then just know what everyone looks like, and I think that's what it is for me. A lot of my guys like drip, like they like it, so they're gonna hate me after this.
I mean, it gives me one less thing to have to look at, just like that memes channel. Oh my fucking god!
Just so
Hey,
you know, Paul, I just used Lost Legion as an example. Like I didn't say Lost Legion for any sort of reason.
Oh no, but I guess we're a good one to use as an example because we have a very like, I don't know,
Yeah, with the grey coats and stuff.
uniform PID, so which I enjoy. Once you know us, you know us.
CJ is next in queue.
I don't remember.
Understandable. I feel
Yeah.
that.
I zoned out. Oh no, I do remember. I feel like a lot of people already know what like different groups and factions look like. Like I can tell you what I can see wolves from a distance and know they look like, or Lost Legion or Dan or whatever. But a lot of these people that post are like solos or small groups, and they all kind of look the same sometimes. Like I don't know if the meta is really happening that hard as it's getting implied.
No, it's not a massive issue. It's
Yeah.
not a massive issue. It's just something to consider, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's like a massive lore breaking, server breaking issue, but it's just something to consider, I guess, being aware of it. Cherokee's next in queue.
And I didn't, I don't want it to sound like I'm, over here crying about, oh my God, drip check, metagaming. That, I just thought it would be good to play kind of devil's advocate on the opposite side of it and kind of explore both sides of that issue. Because I've heard points from both sides,
Solus is next in queue.
Meta wise, it's definitely not like a game breaking issue. DayZ's a murder mystery game. I've kind of talked about this before. You kill someone, you follow someone down based on loot being dropped in different spots. You know that they're moving through town, cooking food, whatever. After the fact, you kill someone, like internally, yeah, you're gonna maybe recognize someone from drip check you've been seeing during the time you're off the server. It is easy to not use that in game. Like it kind of sucks that after you killed that person, you don't get to do the internal like who'd I kill, what is this, why were they here, because it just kind of solved for you almost right away. That does suck, but I feel like this wasn't necessarily meta is what got it into the community meetings channel. However, this came off the back of people just being respectful with it entirely, and I think Doc hit the nail on the head. One of my own people were robbed of a simple gun, a Kar 98, and the person who did so immediately went to drip check within the day and posted a photo of themselves with the gun. They may have been really proud of the PID they accumulated before that point, but still, it's exactly what brought the discussion up from the first person that said this. Exactly, CJ. But that's kind of more to the point. It's just needs to be watched, and if the admins as a staff team, wholly separate from this discussion, feel like the moderation of that area becomes too much, or the tools they have available aren't valid, get the fuck rid of it. And that's it.
Yeah.
Doc, you're up.
Well, I'm looking at slow mode at least. I can do like an hour, 2 hours, or 6. I can do smaller than that. So I mean, a good jumping off point I would think be like an hour, right? We don't have a bunch of spam. Anybody have a? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I think like an hour would be
Go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but wasn't the point of this whole new share, like we started this whole new share content was so we could start our own threads like Drip Check and people could chat in there and then it wouldn't have to be a big, huge issue? Am I misremembering that, or has it just become so out of hand that now we're kind of considering changing it?
So you're saying if you want to post your drip, just make a separate thread, and then it will get lost later on.
No. Like, share content is different. It used to be different. Was it like a year ago? I think we changed it or so. Like,
yeah.
And we did it this way so that people could post their drips, and then people could comment on people's drips, and nobody's in there, hashtagging off topic or whatever the hell it is. Like, I thought this was the point of these.
Yeah, that was the purpose of it, because like Doug's share content was just, it used to just be like, oh, here's my drip, and then like you have like 10 people being like, oh my god, that's such a cool outfit, oh my god, and then like you have to like scroll up for like hours to find like actual like content and videos and pictures. So it's kind of like cordoning off that into like a specific thread that people can engage with or they can not engage with.
Yeah, it's like almost turned into a channel on its own, right? Like that thread.
More or less.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that was the point of it. Yeah.
Well, does anyone else have anything they'd like to say on this? Because if not, then before Matt has to run off and be some sort of actual father to his children or something like that.
I don't have to. There's no laws that say I have to.
Stupid.
There is.
There's no laws, but I'm sure there's a very hungry child that's going to be very angry if you don't.
He's napping right now. I'm about to wake him up.
Well, I mean, if we're done with this topic, we can put a little bow on that, and then we can move on to yours and get yours done, and then we can just go through all the ones where the fucking no-shows, the losers.
All right, I'll try to make mine very quick, since there was a lot of support for it. But I suggested a State of Doug update at the community meetings. So like the next one that we have, I'd be willing to head it up if people have any things that they like want staff clarification on, or like if I notice like topics that are controversial, try to get an official response from staff that's more fleshed out than just kind of chatting off the top of the head in here. So that way things are a little bit more clear for the community on certain topics and subjects. I'd be willing to handle that if the community wants that. I don't know if it's like necessary, but I think that more communication from the staff to the community is always better. So that's my first one.
On that, I mean, yes, communication is always good. And I remember a thing that Desync would do, and he did, I think, last community meeting, or maybe the one before. There was it was like, a bunch of us had asked about like, oh, where certain things are on the CL and the CCE, and he literally just pulls up a fucking list, like a Google Doc or whatever, and it's like, okay, yeah, this one is in progress, this one is like coming in next patch, this one can't be done because that such and such. I like that side of things.
Yeah,
and obviously
like a change log for Doug stuff.
Just like so we know what's like being done and what is being worked on.
Yeah,
Obviously,
a lot of people are
to,
like, don't think anything's is being worked on because they just don't have the information in front of them, or like, hey, we're dealing with some issues on this, we'll get to it and we'll give you an update when it happens, or like, so just anything is better than nothing, I think. And I think it's just a good step in the right direction on like keeping the community engaged in what is happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think it's always like communication is always good. It's kind of like the same sort of deal as like people say about like game developers, like the DayZ devs, for example. When communication is shit, people get pissed off, and they're like, "What are the devs doing? What is going on? Like, why is this not
Yeah, when
happening
they're
right
quiet. Yeah. So yeah, same thing. And I noticed that that's kind of why I had reached out a few months ago to join the team and just said if they're looking for anyone, like let me know and I'll be willing to interview or whatever I have to do. And then a few months later, I was picked up. But that was one of my main concerns because I saw that the staff team wasn't as communicative with the community or wasn't as just like giving answers that clarified things for people. It was kind of like just short, sweet, abrupt. It's this way because of this, and that's it. And like not giving a little bit more context as to what was actually happening and why things weren't being done or why things were being done certain ways. And I think it'd just be good to have that communication, and I think it makes the server better. And if you disagree, you're wrong. So there's that.
Real. Authoritarianism at its finest.
Yeah.
But yeah, go, by all means, go on to the
But if
next thing.
if anyone has anything to say, say it to my face.
Shut
up.
No, I'm sorry. Shut
Yeah.
up, poor boy.
And then
to the first DayZ Underground
the other one
Empire.
I wanted to bring up. God damn it. The other one I wanted to bring up really quickly was the Doug Awards. I know I brought up some discussion about it before. I know there's a lot of concerns about it. The main concern was like popularity contest. I just think it's a fun thing to do for the community. That's like my main thing. I know I've discussed with other admins different ways to include more of the community in like awards or recognition. Me and Oz are kind of working on that front, so we'll have some ideas soon, just for like general throughout the year stuff. But I like the Dougie Awards. I like what they can be if the community is for it. I don't care if they're done or not. It doesn't really matter that much to me. I would like to see them be done and actually be done in a fleshed out manner, but somebody's always going to have a problem with them, whether it be the popularity contest or it doesn't highlight the people who actually have quality work that gets buried, or like I mean there's ways to mitigate it, but there's no way to like stop it. And then I also want to do that coin thing, but I don't know if that's gonna be possible this year unless I raise a bunch of money really quick. I think that would be really cool for like past Dougies and future Dougies. But if the community doesn't want the Doug Awards, I'm all for just getting rid of it and maybe coming up with another solution. If people want to have a discussion on that real quick and kind of keep it relatively short, willing to hear you out.
Henry is first in queue.
Okay, if I offend anyone,
too late.
I'm not sorry, but just let the Dougies die and do something else. I know you mentioned about the popularity contest, but the last Dougies were pretty much a joke, in my opinion.
It was done purposely as a joke through Buck.
Some of it was a lot of the entries were quite serious, and some pretty good stories were left out. And bigger groups voted for their friends, and the good stories got pushed out. And let's be honest, shit stories won, and shit things won. And yeah, I just don't think it should be around anymore, and you should just get rid of it.
Some of the admins were talking about even just wanting to get rid of it as well. I mean, it's up to the community in the end. Y'all, as far as I know, it got started through the community. But I mean, again, if people, I don't know, it's so weird.
It's always been ran, and like the staff has never had any input or tried not to, I believe.
Just bin it.
Hey, that's up to you guys. Like, if you guys don't want to do it, no one do it. That's it.
Everyone wants to get rid of it, yeah? Yeah, everyone does.
I have an idea.
Oh, fuck. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So, why don't the admin team and the mods get together and maybe some of the gaff reps, something, or just the mods or whatever?
No, thank you.
And You have the category still, but then you generate like a short list of maybe 10 stories or 10 protagonists. And then instead of voting on who you think you should win, you vote on like a percentage of or a rate out of 10 of how you think that person has done or how cool do you think that story was. And that way the scoring system is a bit more balanced because instead of just voting on your friends, you have to vote on how you think other people have done as well.
So ranked choice is what you mean?
I almost feel like they would take it on purpose, and that would just, I don't know. That would suck.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I'm just thinking about the people, like the worst case scenario. Like, okay, 1 out of 10. So this, my guy gets a 10. Or so you're saying you can't vote like on your friends, but you can vote on. Okay.
No. So you can vote on your friends, but instead of just voting on your friend, you have to vote on how you think someone else has performed as well.
Yeah, you have to vote on everyone.
So you put a rate. So say like me, example, and Joe's one of the people, and then it's like I have to like rank Joe as in how he's done as a what's the word, antagonist.
Mhm.
But then at the same time, I also has to give a rate to all the other bad guys or the people that are in that category as well.
Yeah, I see where that could be better or like an improvement, but I also see that people could just rate the other bad guys shitty because they think that their guy should win, even if their guy isn't a better antagonist overall. And that's like it's subjective. Like the Dougies are just supposed to be fun, you know what I mean? But like people take it too fucking seriously and they get all their fucking friends to go vote for them instead of actually like taking it semi seriously and just giving the people credit where credit is due. And I fully get that. But I do like something like that idea. I think maybe like they do for award shows, like the community votes on a committee of like 5 people to make the actual decisions or something would be interesting. But I think people are just gonna bitch about it either way.
Well, then do what Henry says in it and just get rid of it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of like doing some sort of big, like, obviously we have like community spotlight. I think doing like a really big this year on Doug or like Doug 2024 or whatever thing.
Me and Oz are working on something. Yes, that is something we're throwing around and trying to get like Doug did this many stories this year, and these people were highlighted as the top like just something that kind of highlights the community as a whole. I would love to do, but I just wanted to get the community's thoughts on the Dougies and if they were going to do them this year. And if they needed like support or anything for that. But if no one has a good way to do them where it's not just going to get trashed, like I'm fine with just letting it sunset, you know.
Ooh, what about this? Kind of like building on the other suggestion for it was that have like the normal, nominations how you normally do it. And instead, you take like just the top 10 most nominated or something for each category, then let all the admins, the moderators, and the GAF reps, or the group of action leaders, one of the two, all sit down and they pick out, top 3, essentially. And then from there, let the rest of the community vote for those top 3. A little bit more balanced, I feel like.
Yeah, if people want to band together, I don't want to flesh this out like here. We just don't have the time. But if people want to make like a share content thing and make like a thread and put like Doug Awards, and you guys want to discuss it in there and like figure out how to do it good, then be my guest. I think if like 4 or 5 people got together and kind of made some kind of improvements to it, it may be worth doing. I don't know. But if you guys can't come up with anything or no one like does it, then cool.
Do we have anything else we'd like to say on this?
Shut that shit down quick. And then the last one that I had was my. I was just like thinking when I woke up, because sometimes I think about Doug when I'm supposed to be with my family, which is terrible.
I bet he's thinking about other women. Oh God, what could I do for the next Doug community meeting?
Yeah, don't worry. My wife knows I'm married in game, so, and she thinks I'm a fucking idiot for doing that, but whatever. Not because it's like another woman, but because like Sierra's fucking crazy.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, the thing was like finding a way to get works published. Like some of you guys create some really fucking awesome stuff, to be frank. Like there's a lot of really cool things on the Reddit that don't see the light of day. And I was just thinking like it would be cool to have like a I don't know how often or something, but like a Doug Collections book of like some of the really cool stories, or even grouping it by like factions of like obviously not newer stuff, like not too new, but like older stuff, so that way people can't use it for in games, stuff. But like history, Doug history, and have it. Yeah, obviously any of the money that was produced by it would go straight back into Doug. I don't think anyone should be taking the money from the server anywhere else but in the server. We do the community spotlight. Me and Oz are working. We're just talking about it last night. So you'll see like a catch up one, and then we'll start doing them more frequently. But go back on topic, is something I didn't flesh out all the ideas, but like solo survival stories, and it would be like yeah, I'm helping them. Like survival stories, or like a cult collection of like old cult stories and books that would like make sense together, and being published in either downloadable or like bought physical. Because I think I honestly, I just selfishly, I think that it would be cool to have some Doug history books, like, because I'm a fucking nerd.
Solus is next in queue.
I fear this kind of balances on decisions that are probably already made on the merch website, especially with the Doug mug and those other recent additions, the t-shirt that was added in. It costs a lot to have things produced firsthand to be able to sell off, especially if you're just intending to accept that money as donations for a server. I fear any physical publication like that is going to be a massive money sink, and it's just going to serve to, it's ultimately going to make any donation that's put that way from the Doug community, 50% of that's going to go to the publishing company and 50% would go to a Doug donation. I think downloadable would be maybe the best effort to go, and maybe even a kit, something that lets you print it out as a book if you want. But I don't think trying to work out like getting something published like in physical form is going to be a good direction for a merch store, kind of focusing on getting people to do that.
Cherokee is next in queue.
I'm sorry if you guys hear this vacuum in the background, but what I was going to say was I think I saw too that people were worried about, plagiarism, or not plagiarism necessarily, but like copyright and rights to the publications that are on the Reddit. I think that's easily solved by just adding like a written rule on the Reddit that anything you write while it is yours, Doug reserves derivative rights,
Bjorn is next in queue.
Yeah, real quick, in terms of like printing out a book, if you want to do that, I have a friend who's printed a bunch of stuff on demand for RPG books, where he'll buy the PDF and then print it out. And there's companies that do that, and it's not particularly expensive to get on-demand printouts that way. So if someone was to go set that up, and that was something people wanted to go make like a magazine or a printout or whatever, you could probably get at whatever level quality you wanted. I don't think that would be that hard. I do think in terms of producing content for Doug, it'd be really cool to get more stuff in game. Like I've produced some stuff and I haven't actually put it on the Reddit yet because I'm still waiting to get some graphics for it. But I don't know how I would be able to get that as an in-game book. I think it'd be pretty cool if we could have more in-game lore things like, the various journals or the audio tapes and stuff. So I think if people are cool with it and there's stuff that is the quality that we want, just, go reach out to those people. What I'm saying is reach out to people and say, hey, people really liked your whatever story. Would you like to have a little journal? Maybe add a journal item in game that makes it a little less jarring when you come across the books. I don't know. Just a thought.
Good thought.
Anyone else have any other things they'd like to say on this? I think Doug merch is a pretty good, sort of way to go in terms of, raising funds for the server. But obviously, yeah, we have to keep in mind, a lot of this stuff does not just come out of thin air. There's going to be a cost to publish it. And obviously, there's always going to be the question of, who would actually, get something like this. But there's a lot of, really good fucking stories that came from Doug. And highlighting those, I think, is a really good thing to do.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. If nothing comes from this, maybe I'll work on something and maybe make just PDFs and so I can give them to people for free or something.
Well, if anyone else has anything else they'd like to say on this, then speak now or forever hold your wished. Though now I think we can move on to another topic. Just mark that with a tick check. I see someone in here called Hansel. I don't know if you're the Hansel that posted the one of the topics, or if you're a different Hansel. If you are, feel free to take it away. If not, then I guess we can just start rattling through the topics where people are not here. Because there's someone in Discord that called PNR Hansel that's suggested something. All right, okay. I guess if you want to take it away with your topic, then go ahead.
I've got to go back through and remember what I put, because I put a couple and then deleted them.
Ah, fair.
Is it Hansel or Hansel?
It depends on how good I am on my accent at any given time.
Valid.
But Hansel.
You posted about using a different platform.
Different platform. Yeah, and I think that a lot of people voiced their opinion on that, and it's still a lot of people still want Discord and things like that, but things were brought up that TeamSpeak is better quality and can handle more people. And so I kind of backed off of doing that. If other people have a voice or an opinion on that, go for it. But it was made more clear to me why TeamSpeak is used. But there were still votes on it, so I left it in there.
Yeah, it's definitely worthy of discussion. If anyone has anything they'd like to say on it, then feel free. I know there was quite a lengthy discussion on this, I think in Members General, maybe somewhere else as well. And it has been quite a long echoed thing whenever someone brings up the Discord versus TeamSpeak argument, that TeamSpeak does handle better in VCs with especially with double digits of people, as opposed to Discord, which does start to struggle. I've experienced it on occasion, but I personally don't really mind much about it. I'll host the community meetings wherever people prefer to host the meetings, so. But as it stands, a lot of the sort of people that attend them, I guess, a lot of the people that attend them, I guess, are kind of already established on TeamSpeak, already know how to use TeamSpeak, though I will concede that if someone is like looking around in the Discord and they see all of us like in the channel or whatever while the community meeting's going on, that might be like draw them in and be like, "Ooh, what's going on in here?" But again, that is also a double-edged sword, because sometimes people just come in without their mic muted. You'll be getting a nice ASMR rendition of them shoveling like crisps down their throat or whatever. So yeah. That too. But yeah, does anyone have anything they'd like to say on this? If not, then we can just move on to the next topic and start rattling through the ones for the goddamn non-attendees. Losers.
Let's talk about.
Right, okay, if no one has anything to say on this, then we can just move on. The first topic that we are going on to here that doesn't have someone here for it is Blazes. I see a lot of people upset about things that have gone through or are not as happy with them as they thought they would be. We should talk about people trying out mods and alterations before the final vote and a way to do so. For anyone that's not a member, this is in relation to the CCE, the Community Controlled Environment. It's basically a system that you get access to as a member that you can see it as a member, and you can like contribute suggestions, and if a faction leader or representative likes a suggestion, then they can pull it up for consideration. It's basically to make changes to the server. Few of these have already gone through, and as Blaze is insinuating, there has been some, I guess, regret, you could call it, from people being like, oh, well, it turns out this suggestion is not as good as we thought it was. Like the Bloody Clothes mod, for example, which got removed after, I think, a week. Yeah, I'm also not sure why Desync downvoted. I guess, yeah. That is like that for the mod team to kind of channel their focus on something and put their time and energy into something, and then people just suddenly get that post-nut clarity and are like, no, we don't want this anymore, get it out. That would be like, well, what was the fucking point of putting it in the first place?
He might be thinking, like that people like us should be trying out instead of like the people who are doing like voting for it. Yeah. So he might have thought that. That's my best guess.
I think
like we're not going to try that shit out. It's on you guys to
Isn't
try that shit
that
out.
what
Kind of idea.
Blaze is saying in this suggestion, though? We should talk about people trying out mods and alterations before the final vote. It's like
Desync has mentioned that he likes the chaos of it. Really much so like the democracy. Like we put something up and it either works or it doesn't, and if it doesn't, we get smacked with it. If it can be fixed, there's an opportunity for innovation, and ultimately like that. And then there's also an element from different group and faction leaders where it really shouldn't be on the players to determine 100% if what they're suggesting is something that is possible or feasible or plausible. Like with the mechanics or the technology, it should be something that we follow by passion and put forward, and then the staff is able to inform us if this is something they can change or have to veto, or is the sense I've gotten there. Might be why he wants something like that to go through. I'm not sure he would have dove into the nitty-gritty of the Bloody Clothes mod in any other scenario either. So that was something he got to do and experience and try to learn, and the only reason he did so is because we maybe pushed it forward faster than we should have.
Biscuits is next in queue.
The trouble is, though, with like what admins were saying about the last rollout and the Bloody Clothes mod, I don't have a clue how DayZ modding works. I don't really know how any sort of modding works. So if I need to like look into something and test it and stuff like that, I don't have a clue how to do that. So basically that means I can't make suggestions if I need to do that.
I guess it's like when I did that whole suggestion with like the new guns and stuff. I like penned out this big thing about it to try and like hit all the bases. But even still, even when I put all that thought into it, Diesel then like came in and poked a few more holes that I had to try and plug. So I guess that is sort of the thing. Like, a lot of people, they're just not really gonna know what needs to be sort of like what boxes need to be checked, what accommodations need to be made for these additions.
Yeah. My response to that is, if the CCE is going to be really technical like that, then just go back to the way it was before there was a CCE, in my opinion. Because even if I knew how things like that worked, I wouldn't really have the time to do that.
Sure.
If the admins are saying that that's what they want from people who make suggestions, to do testing and make sure everything's correct and stuff like that.
We got
I
Oslo
don't.
here saying he's a modder, so maybe we can find like who modders are that enjoy it and see if they're willing to test it for people. And then again, yeah, we do have a test server. Again, that's going to go through Diesel or Desync, so feel free to ask them and see what they say.
It's just when the CCE was rolled out, it wasn't explained that it would be like that.
I think it was just a test all in general in the beginning. Like nobody really.
Yeah.
It's
so
being
my
adjusted as we
if
go.
that
Yeah.
if it is like that, my opinion changes on it, and I would rather just go back to the old way. But that's just me.
Sure.
I do wish, this is a little bit off topic, but I do wish that there was like some sort of guidelines for what considerations you need to make when you're doing like a CCE thing, rather than it being like you pen up this big thing and then like down the line, like weeks, days down the line, then it's like, oh well, you didn't think of this, you didn't think of this, you didn't think of this, because we don't have that sort of knowledge on the like fundamentals of the game. Go ahead, Biscuits.
Yeah, and like the other day, like the idea about lard, the suggestion that I made the other day just came to my head, and I wanted to share the idea because I thought it was a pretty cool one. But then I have no way like how that would be implemented, or I don't have a clue. like, I don't have a clue how to even do any
You don't
research on it.
necessarily have to. Like, I don't mean to talk out of turn, but that was kind of what I mentioned initially too. That exact like theory is being lauded as well. That was the idea why Desync himself probably preferred this. I mean, it's not opposing the topic, but it's opposing the discussion of the topic. His downvote, Desync doesn't want people to feel like they have to know the ins and outs of modding before they put an idea out there. Like, he wants you all as excited as you can be suggesting things. I love the lard idea. There's not really anything you're missing for why it can't be implemented. It just needs to find a spot in the CLE, which some people can share and some people can have negative thoughts about it. But like, that's a good freaking idea. It's exact like fish don't give you lard. You covered exactly why you'd want it and where it would serve a purpose. Like, don't count yourself out. Like, it may come down to people. Like, Diesel may be a little rough when Bloody Clothes has to be removed a weekend, but
yeah, some of the stuff that Diesel said is kind of made me like get cold feet a bit with the CCA.
That's fair.
Like, if that idea moved forward and people really liked it, which it did, it was received quite well, and I don't really know how to move it forward. But then if it did go forward and it got past the next stage and stuff, and then we like had to start testing it and everything.
I think Joe would be happy to push it forward if he doesn't have interest. I can do the same with you. But
yeah, but then like I'm worried that I'm gonna have to like start doing testing and try and get obviously you'll need like an item for that, right, and stuff. So like I don't know how any of that works, and I couldn't contribute in that way. So that's just my concerns. That's all.
Doc, you're next.
I'll give you an example to help alleviate a little bit. I made a suggestion, and even though I don't think anybody cared to vote on it, it was like I actually think it went well, but Desync actually liked it. He's going to do it anyway, regardless of the CCE, because he thought it was cool. It was me using pliers to pull people's teeth and just different ways of torture. So I'm not sure if he's still working on it, but I didn't test anything out on that. He's still just trying to figure that out himself. So yeah, don't be afraid, I would say, because he might take it and try and run with it. Because I thought that was pretty cool, and he seemed to like it. Now he wants to implement different ways of torturing. So we'll see. I'd say don't be discouraged.
I don't think there is a thing about farming plots in the meetings.
CJ, stop.
That would make it
Don't.
drag on
Just
for
don't.
like another 3 hours, though, if that bloody channel has any indication. Last I checked, there were, what,
kick you.
1,000 messages? Anyway, anyone else have
Ridiculous.
anything else they'd like to say on this topic? If so, then speak, or forever hold your wished.
Can't wait for new torture methods. It's gonna be awesome.
I hope
That
he's
would be
still
cool.
working on it. I need to ask him, but yeah, he seemed pretty hyped about it.
I was gonna CCE it, but I don't know if anyone did yet. That's cool.
Right, I think we've done with this topic. So we're gonna mark that as completed, and now we're moving on to our final topic for the night. Only 2.5 hours in. Let's go. Of course, this is from Harry, who, to be fair to him, he at least said that he likely wouldn't be there. It would be nice to gauge the community's opinion on the return of whitelist days. Just one day a week would be fine to start testing it out to see how people feel about it. We can adapt with more or less afterwards. Thinking this would be healthy for the server from the perspective of someone who just got killed by a hacker yesterday, but it would also encourage more people to get whitelisted. This should be a good one. Go ahead, Bacon.
Just from what I've heard from some of the other Overlook fellows, we're all very supportive of at least one day a week being whitelist, so that there's a day, even if it's midweek, where you can come home after work and not be worried about crackheads, bagheads, etc., and get some quality RP in the middle of the week.
Oh no.
Cherokee is the next one.
Why the oh no? But yeah, I think that's it.
Is your vacuum okay?
No, that
Yeah,
sounds
no,
like a
that-
dog squeezing a
that's-
squeeze.
Yeah, that's
It's a
steel.
dog.
I mean, I can skip. I'll skip.
You're fine.
No, you're good. You're good. It's just funny.
I think Dark Carnival. I think it would be good to bring back a whitelist day. Like maybe I don't know what day works best, but like a Sunday. Yeah, see, that's why I wanted to skip, man. It's just in the background.
No, this is
Let the
this
dog
is a
talk,
morale
Jim.
booster.
But yeah, I think it's definitely healthy for the server. It encourages more people to get whitelisted because let's be honest, not everyone wants to be a part of the so-called Riders Club, so to speak. Not that that's all it is, but not everyone has that interest. But having a whitelist day, I think, also is conducive to more story pushing, more interaction. I think it'd just be healthy overall.
Doc is next in queue.
I fucking forgot. Hold on, dude.
not you. Wait, not you.
Wait,
Merry
which one?
Man
Yeah.
Doc.
No.
For fuck's sake.
I have to get back to my train of thought after that. Oh yeah, so I don't know actually who said it at this point, but I was just gonna make the point like me, some of my best interactions have actually been with non-whitelisted members. I think honestly, it's really cool seeing some of these new faces that come, and my only concern is just making sure that if it was to be implemented somehow, that it's not going to be in an off-putting way. So obviously, I think player retention still has to be, at the top of that priority list, so long as it still aligns with what Doug's values are with said, players that we were retaining.
Locke, you're next.
Somewhere? Okay. You said Locke or Doc?
Locke.
Damn, I swear I queued in there.
No.
Hold on. I might have missed you.
No, you didn't. I took him out.
Yep, valid. I mean, if you wanna like respond, Doc, in terms of like a staff perspective on this, then by all means.
I mean,
I
I
feel like
know
that
that
would
this
be
has
welcome.
probably been a lot of population lately, so I get where the whitelist day comes from. I that's very understanding because to me, I'm very hyped with the people coming in, and I'd like to keep that rolling and not block people at this moment yet. But I also see like peace of mind is also nice for the whitelisted members, so I'll take that into consideration. In fact, I'm already kind of explaining something in the staff chat on our end that how you feel. So I mean, I'm on it, but yeah, I'm really hyped with people coming in. I know like somebody like the other Lesser Doc, is he loves interacting with the sorry the coasties and things like that. That's his thing. So it's his risk, but I'm sorry that what's his name got hit by a hacker. We've taken out I think only like 3 hackers so far since the beginning of this month, and usually they're just speed hacking or something. Besides that one guy who found stashes. But yeah, I'm not against it. It's just hopefully I don't know. We might be I might be being greedy with the people coming in, the new faces, and being too excited. So we'll see. I mean, I'll let them know, and please feel free to keep throwing in more information. I'll take it down and let the team know. So next,
Locke is next in queue.
Yeah, I don't feel anyone has said this position yet, so I'll say it. Doug's population, especially last wipe and some of the previous wipes, have been a bit lackluster, and it's fucking brilliant to see Doug's pop actually doing well this wipe, and having been able to relatively consistently actually fill the server, especially in the weekends. Which is why, even though I am very much for the idea of whitelist days, whitelist days, simply because yes, it elevates the RP, and it would make someone like me, who's a bad guy, maybe a bit more prone to not be hostile or even shoot people that I see, because I trust them a lot more to actually have an interaction instead of just trying to pull a gun on me. But right now I'm very, very wary about doing anything that could hit the pop, and I think doing it this early into the first wipe in a while that's been doing very well would hurt it a lot. If this goes well throughout the whole wipe, or maybe even just several months, then I'd say it'd be perfectly fine to reconsider whitelist days, because then we know we have a sustainable population that won't get tanked at least as much by those whitelist days. But I know that when I started playing on Doug and there was whitelist days there, it very much did demotivate me, because I just happened for the 2 or 3 first times that I tried to play on Doug, I just happened to be those whitelist days. It's I don't feel that KOS and these crackhead problems are as big of an issue as some people make it out to be. But I think we should just bring this up in several months, or perhaps even next wipe, and only really consider it if the pop stays relatively consistent.
Yeah, I was pretty much going to echo those sentiments. Like, I understand the idea of like, oh, it'd be nice to have whitelist days again, because obviously, yeah, like back when you'd be playing on the whitelist days, it would definitely feel like you'd feel a bit more safe, and that you could kind of trust the people you came across a bit more to like play along with the RP, and not just, okay, let me pull out my chambered Makarov and see if I can ice one of these guys. But yeah, I definitely think that like we have some good momentum going in terms of like population, and I mean I've been whitelisted for most of my Doug career, so I don't think I really had much experience with the whole like, oh man, the server's whitelisted right now, what the fuck. But I've definitely heard the sentiment from people of like being angry because like well, what if someone like raids my base on like a non-whitelisted, like on a whitelisted day when I like literally can't log in, or just generally like it leading to some frustration, especially if it's on like a weekend day where people are like have more sort of time to game, and then they like log on to play on Doug, and then they're like, oh, what the fuck, I can't get on the server. Oh, Doc said that he lost power. I assume he'll be back if his power kicks back up. Bunyan is after me in queue, by the way.
Yeah, I actually think everyone kind of said the same things I was gonna say. I don't want to see gosh darn it, I don't want to see sorry the wave of players and I like the same thing. Like Doug's been doing really healthy, it seems like, and I want to know, or I want to let you know that like when I first joined, I came in I think pretty much right after that was like, or like I think it was done for about a year or something. But I know I heard it was a thing. I don't know when you guys got rid of that, but um yeah, I know it would have kind of put me off for like a day. I'd been like, oh, I'd been really bummed out because I know I enjoyed it, and I wasn't whitelisted for like probably my first almost year on Doug. So my first like 10 months, and then I got whitelisted. 10, 11, 12, something like that. But I also see the other side of it too. So but yeah, that's about it.
Tim is next in queue, I think, assuming I didn't miss anyone.
4 or 5 years ago, when Doug was so active that you'd have a full server and 80 plus people in a queue, and if you didn't get in during a reset, you just weren't playing. I think whitelist days were basically needed because that's the only way you're going to get any meaningful story done. The end of last wipe, yeah, we were just talking about some population issues. That's just going to put people off. And if more and more people are sort of just in natural ways losing interest in DayZ and maybe even Doug itself, restricting newer players joining is not a great path. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think like I definitely can understand the sentiment of like, oh, it'd be nice for whitelist days to return, but I definitely think we need to be careful not to shoot ourselves in the foot and completely like kill any momentum that we have or seriously hamper it. I do see it would actually motivate people to get whitelisted thing, because to be honest, like, you get for being whitelisted access to the Reddit, which not everyone really cares about anyway, except the people that are like interested in like stories and want to write stories and have somewhere to put them. And you get like some extra Discord channels. The CCE is something that you can engage with if you become whitelisted, so I'd say that's a pretty good thing, but it is... I just don't think we're quite ready for whitelist days yet. CJ, I think you're next in queue.
I think one of the issues with whitelist is even when it was only 1 day a week, 2 days a week, whatever it was, I think Wednesdays was one of the days. At the time, I was starting to get really into Doug, and Wednesdays were my only day off from work, and I couldn't play on those days. And I think a lot of issues that a lot of other people have is their time is so limited. Like, they don't want to put in an app and then have to wait up to 2 weeks, because by then they might just lose interest and not come back. And that can discourage people from wanting to get involved in the server.
Go ahead, Louis.
I think I wouldn't be ready to put it back in yet. I think it does take people out, and then they go play in another server and they don't come back. So, but I do think there's a lot of effort being made to maintain the whitelist and do the application process, and I kind of wonder why we do that if we're not going to use it. So I think at some point it's worth a discussion if the population is healthy well into this wipe.
Whitelist was something that I believe fitted a different Doug all those years ago. Should have been removed sooner. And it has no place in how Doug currently is at the moment. If you personally, I would prefer an interaction with like some sort of new player, and then like 1 or 2 fights with a bunch of crackheads who are playing, then be able to like, you know, safely role play some story out. I'd rather have some fun organic interactions than that. And then if you make whitelist, then obviously those new people aren't going to come on the server. That's my take on it.
Tim, go ahead.
Okay. I've played when I've played DayZ, it's been pretty much on Doug for the past 4 to 5 years. And this is the first wipe I've even bothered putting in a whitelist. So for me, not being whitelist isn't an issue to like what the server has on offer. I think whitelist should be the sort of great filter that sort of shapes you into being a good fit, good healthy fit for the server. But if you don't allow people to play on it or sort of want to contribute to that community, they'll never want to like sort of shape themselves to pass that filter. So I think, yeah, whitelist days right now, especially with Pop, are a no. And another big thing is DayZ's population is many times greater than what it was in 2019. And yet people still aren't, flocking to DayZ Underground, if you know what I mean. So we just got to full forward on getting as many people who want to be interested in the server as possible.
Yeah, like back in 2020, like it was fucking crazy with all the like 40-man queues and shit like that. But obviously,
it was crazy, and DayZ only had like 15,000 concurrent players. Now it has like 70, something crazy. So there's a big disparity there where there's a lot more people playing DayZ, but not necessarily Doug in general. I want more people to filter to Doug, and it's been on an upward trend where Doug's been on like the top 50 in the world or whatever, and that's a good thing. And that helps with having more new players.
Yeah, Doug, DayZ playing an hour ago on Steam apparently is 48,862 players or something like that, according to Steam charts.
Yeah, and what is that, 2 or 3 times more than what it was 4 or 5 years ago? So I mean, DayZ is getting more popular, and that could be also what Doug gets to. All right, next.
Go ahead, Louis. Or wait. Oh yeah, Docs.
I see Docs trying, but it's not there yet.
Up,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay,
Alright,
yeah,
cool,
go ahead,
cool.
Doc.
Shit, dude. I as far as population, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of people playing. They're not coming here yet just because they don't really know. So I just want to say, if you have the ability to stream. If you like streaming anyway, I mean, it'll bring some faces here. That'll help, because I know a lot of people seem to always like those trader servers and things like that. So it's kind of hard, but we're a bit of a niche, I guess. But yeah, I mean, if you like to stream, I would say push streaming and get out there and see if you can promote the place. If you love the place, if you want to promote the place. Thank you if you do.
I just want to make mention. I want to see the efforts of the admin team put towards the things that make a difference, and maintaining the whitelist list. If it's never going to come back, it seems like a lot of work. If people are into that and want to spend their time, reading those, awesome. Appreciate it greatly. I'm not ready to see it come back yet. I just think there's too many other options, good options out there that people aren't restricted from playing in every day. So
Biscuits is next.
Yeah, so I've spoken to some people who've been around since the beginning of Doug, and they've all said the same thing to me, that whitelist was brought in before base building, when there would be organized meetings and roleplay, which would get interrupted by non-whitelist, and like these meetings and this like serious roleplay would be interrupted. And I think like whitelist was always in before that anyway. It just got more serious when that started happening. You don't need to worry about that now because there's bases. If you want to roleplay a meeting, just do it inside a base. Then it can't be shut up or anything like that. I don't see the need for a whitelist whatsoever. I think a membership and a whitelist should be different as well. Like the understanding of it.
Solus is next in queue.
Talking about whitelist days, earlier on when I first joined Doug, say I'd spent about under a year, I think, on whitelisted and working with ORCC and meeting people. There were a few people that were unwhitelisted as well that I worked with. Twisted T and Ali Veery, we all started out on Doug basically strictly with ORCC. And during the days where it was whitelisted and we couldn't play, we would wander off to official servers or this server and that server and maintain some shitty little barn base for a day and KOS people on an official server nonstop, accumulating ammo and different things of that nature. And it worked out fine. We all pursued whitelist. We ended up getting whitelist, ended up joining into the community in deeper ways. But I think there's an opportunity there where being forced off of Doug 2 days a week or 1 day a week very specifically puts you in an environment where you're not appreciating what Doug does to DayZ. Like we were jumping to official servers where there was ammunition everywhere. We didn't give a damn about the CLE, what we were accumulating, like anything like that. We were killing people without focusing on any type of RP. And that was definitely something that would bleed into our time on regular Doug. That is, I mean, there were CCE wasn't around back then, which is something I've drawn directly to and something I kind of harper to my members to make them interested in being whitelisted. So it's not a fair comparison. Talking about Doug or DayZ's popularity wave as an entirely separate thing, I think that's very careful. We need to be very careful with trying to assume we're going to get a giant wave of people on Doug as a result of it. Because with DayZ as popular as it's ever been, they're all constantly playing servers that we would have to tell them that there's features that they have to forego on a daily basis. There's no waypoint markers, there's no traders, there's like a variety of less modded items. There's so many unique things that we have to work to sell off of Doug and to get them into the environment rather than what they can dive into the moment they download DayZ and from a sale during the summer sale, which is literally now. So we're about to see even worse than that, worse than the 700 odd new people that we've already seen on Doug. And they're not gonna have the best values offhand. And forcing them off of Doug for a day a week isn't going to help them find our culture either. And that's it.
I think that hits the nail on the head as well. Just like obviously Steam Summer Sale is going on right now, and I believe DayZ is discounted as a part of that. So yeah, we're probably going to see another influx of players. Also, if anyone wants to get an alt account, now's a good time to do it. But yeah, anyone else have anything they'd like to say further on this? I feel like a lot of good points have been raised on both sides. Well, if that is all for all people have to say on this topic, then that is the last topic that we have scheduled here. So if there's nothing else, if there's nothing, I don't know, staff wants to say or anything like that, then you can consider yourselves dismissed. Almost 3 hours. That is fucking insane. Actually, hold on, let's see. My recording is 2 hours, 58 minutes, and actually 59 minutes now. This is absolutely mad. Very long community meeting, lots of topics, very cool. Obviously, I tend to just kind of start these things when I see a bunch of topics pile up, so I guess if those topics keep coming, then we'll have another meeting next month, but we shall deal with that, cross that bridge when we come to it. Yeah, I guess you are all dismissed.
Wait a minute, did I miss it? Could we
Thank
go
God.
everything again?
No.
Wait, is this?
Whoa.
Good timing, Buck.
The man said dismiss, so everyone at ease, at ease.
Dougie Award winner.
No,
Yeah,
Buck,
can we just go over absolutely everything again real quick?
Buck, we decided you can't
no.
do the Dougies anymore.
Can we talk
Yeah,
about
we're taking
rating?
the Dougies from
Everyone form up bags of sticks and let's go.
Billy. Billy.
Oh, ban all
Bring
of
your
it.
rose hips and nails.
You
All right, I'm gonna try
can't stay here.
extra hard with the Dougies this year. I'm gonna
Yeah,
put
serious
even more
question.
effort into the Fiverr video.
You're gonna How many stick stashes can I bury before Doc bans me?
That Fiverr video is fucking hilarious.
I know where all y'all
Starting-
stashes is. I'm gonna give them.
You're
all
gonna
to
fill them with
CJ.
sticks for me? Thank you.
Berry rating.
Wow. Alright, with that, I get all this fucking help.
What did he say?
Berry rating.
Berry rating.
It works.
No, don't weaponize my dying materials. They'll fucking limit them. No, don't.
Plant material rating.
No. You're gonna split. You're gonna grab your fucking plant material and you're gonna split it into like individual percentages of plant material and start punching fuck out of walls.
Take 99 nails and split them each to 1, and then you punch.
Also works. Also,
Or
plank
take,
rating.
or take,
The
or
dog's
take
back.
ammo.
We can't
My
take
favorite
take ammo.
character.
Individual 762.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That's wonderful.
That's how you actually use
Oh,
ammo
the
to
squeaky
raid,
toilet.
by the way. Just grab the ammo
Excuse
and
me,
you
the
hit
fact
wall.
that there has not been a picture of this dog posted an off-topic right now.
Oh, there has.
Where? Where, dog?
Was it off topic? I think it was.
Yeah, what? Biscuits, you want me?
Oh, whatever. I'll post
What?
it now.
Did you poked me and said 2 seconds?
I want you, Matt.
You want me only for 2 seconds? Damn, you're asking a lot.
Right, I'm gonna stop the recording now, but.